on me for that one. And, they started throwing rocks at me, calling me a clown, and I felt like I was being taken for granted. And so what I used to do at the orange juice factory, I used to be a referee for the break room. There was a show. It was called Toucan Beak Wrestling, right? And, the unfortunate downside to that was that only two can play at that game.
That's a good one. Dude, this is how you get followers in the bear market. All day long, I was like, I want to tell somebody this joke, but my kid's only 3, so she's not going to get it. So I'm glad that you let me waste everybody's time for like 3.5 minutes. I appreciate it.
Oh man, yeah, dude. And
what? Your kid's not smart enough to get the joke, dude?
She doesn't have the attention span to get through that joke.
It's 3 years old.
Well, I guess, Mr. Producer, I guess we can start now. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Crypto World Radio. Today, we're going to feature Cosmos Megaspace. We have Umi, we have Tendermint Timmy, Cosmos Joe, we have Brandon from the Umi team. We have Welding Cosmos representing the Huawei chain, and we also have Sunnyside Reaper on behalf of Stargaze. So we essentially have a lending protocol, a meme coin chain. You can kind of think of it like Doge chain on Cosmos. And I think Swift Protocol is supposed to be joining us. I totally forgot about them, but I don't see them in the audience. And then, of course, Timmy, he runs his programming with the Cosmos Bootcamp with Interchain Info and Spark IBC. And he hosts a lot of projects that are building on Tendermint and the Cosmos Hub. So feel free to follow him. Same thing with Cosmos Joe. He hosts his spaces as well. He's getting into the NFT side of things, and he also has his YouTube channel. So feel free to check that out. It's Cosmos DeFi. Should be able to find it. And if anyone here is enthusiastic about things that are built on Tendermint or are going to launch in the Cosmos Hub, feel free to come up. We'd love to have you and talk some shop. So without further ado, I want to welcome you all. And as a reminder, we will have this recorded and put into our YouTube channel. And if you want to drop any questions and you're not able to speak, there's a little thing in the bottom right where you're able to drop some comments. And I'll be really vigilant in paying attention to the things that are dropped in there for any type of questions that you may have for us. And I guess we can get started with Payne. Payne, how are you feeling today, bro? Good to have you up here again, brother.
Doing great, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's been a while since we've had
the Cosmos boys.
Yep. Yeah. I think the last time we had them on was when the corporation invaded us, which was pretty nice, man. I mentioned the corporation. They might pop up now, but And the individual behind the Umi account, how are you today, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna let the much smarter and more talented Brandon speak on our behalf. I'm just the meme officer over here.
No problem, man. No problem. Well, we're just going around seeing how everybody is doing, and then we'll get into to the serious stuff. We'll just kind of kick the space off more casually. Timmy, how are you today, brother?
Doing well. This is gonna be a fun one. Really good panel here. I saw Swift in the audience earlier, so maybe they're just having tech issues or something. But I noticed them in here earlier, so hopefully they'll join us.
Okay, that's what's up.
I'll shoot Joseph a message as well. I'll see what's up with them. But doing good.
Okay, Joe, how are you today, brother? Good to have you up again, man.
Doing great. Always doing great. I feel like I had a involuntary break from Twitter Spaces because neither one of my phones would work for about a week. So now I'm good to go.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Welding, how are you today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Honored to be here.
Thank you for the kind words, bro. Good to have you up here. Sunnyside, what's going on, dude? It's not really a sunny day. It's evening where I'm at, but still chilly. That's what I like. What's going on, brother? How are you feeling?
Not much at all. We always say it's sunny in Minneapolis where I'm at, but just hope I can represent Stargate as well.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I guess we'll get started with Umi. Whoever wants to speak, the individual behind Umi or Brandon, feel free to go ahead. So, why don't you go ahead and introduce what Umi is and what you guys are seeking to accomplish in the crypto space.
Yeah, so Umi is basically if you're familiar with like lending and borrowing apps in the Ethereum space or kind of across the ecosystems like an Aave or Compound, we're basically an app chain version of that. So what we're trying to do is basically allow you to perform leverage transactions across all of your favorite Cosmos assets, whether they be Atom, Osmo, but also like the majors like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum as well. And so what we're trying to do is just basically create a hub across the interchain that allows you to do leverage, not just for Cosmos, but also we're moving into Ethereum a little bit more, have some cool products that are coming out with that. And the end goal is obviously just a completely decentralized ecosystem where anyone can get a loan. A lot of issues with TradFi with like things like redlining and different practices that have historically given people like hard times getting loans for different reasons. Really the end game for Umi is to decentralize all of that so that all of that can be based on merit rather than some of the other BS.
And what are some of the advantages that Umi has versus other protocols that are trying to do what you guys do on Cosmos? I'm a bit out of the loop when it comes to the lending markets on Cosmos. Forgive me, but I just wanted to know what are some of some cool key features, if I can summarize, that Umi currently has or will have further roadmap.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first place is our Oracle that we've built in house. We basically released a innovative product called Historical that allows you to compare your reference points to historical prices as well. And what that means is we've created one of the most impervious sort of hack-proof Oracle systems out there. Definitely have battle tested over the time with different like leverage staking. With different liquid staking tokens and stable coins within the ecosystem. So I think the Oracle speaks for itself. That's basically allowed us to list a lot of different low liquidity assets that our competition can't. If you look at Umi's solutions, I think we have more collateral options than any other leverage solution in the entire interchain. Not just the interchain as it exists today, but also like Ethereum protocols and everything of that sort. And then outside of that, just being an app chain, building in core leverage logic into the blockchain itself, we have things like IBC rate limits that basically allow us to say like, hey, this is the overall dollar amount that you can get, even if you hack our system, even if you find a way to exploit it in ways that we haven't thought of. There's an overall dollar amount that you can take out of Umi at any given day, which is inherently different than something like an Euler where you can lose all of your TVL in the matter of seconds. So I think those two things are the biggest change. And then we've got some really innovative solutions around liquidations and also leverage. Our big focus is on liquid staking tokens and Cosmos native stable coins. So we think there's going to be a huge explosion of those this year. And we're going to be one of the major catalysts for it.
Timmy, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to throw in, and Brandon, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think like the Oracle thing is one of like the bigger innovations I feel like we've had on our side, and oracles are kind of misunderstood by a lot of people. So saying like, oh, we got a better oracle is somewhat meaningless. So I think one bit of like meaning we can attach to it, isn't it? I remember talking with you about this a couple of weeks ago. Accurate to say that like what we're doing with the historical price feeds there would have prevented the Mango market attack, right? Wasn't that executed by just like very temporarily changing the price of something?
Yeah, so if you look at like the Mango market attack, that was exactly kind of what inspired the innovation. And so what it's doing is it's time stamping historical prices, turning them into medians basically. And so what we can do with that is even if someone, say we use like Osmosis as a price feed, even if someone can double the price of an asset We'll never be able to be manipulated by that because we have historical in there, and we're kind of impervious to different market manipulations on our price feeds. Of course, there's other hacks that can happen, but for that particularly, for like mango markets, that's something that can't happen on Umi.
Yeah, I just think it's cool to. I think that's something a lot of people probably heard of. If you're curious about more details there, just go look up how the mango market hack happened, and you'll probably quickly see that if they weren't just using spot prices, like the price at the exact moment the contract is checking, then it wouldn't have been able to happen the way it did.
Well, even if you use like a geometric mean, or sorry, a geometric TWEP, something like Osmosis produces for Mars, even in their proposals for like an SD atom, you'll see that they acknowledge that they're subject to these types of hacks as well. So that's kind of why we wanted to focus on that before we released things like SD atom as collateral.
Brandon, so what are some of the things that Umi has down further in its roadmap? Like, do you guys have any plans to bridge onto other ecosystems like Ethereum, or even some other ecosystems that are coming out, like Fuel Network, Caldera, which is sort of like a layer 3 on Ethereum, and other things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're trying to set the foundation for right now is the ability to just expand to any ecosystem without having to worry about some of these hacks. Because the biggest issue is like low liquidity assets are open to manipulation. So being able to kind of correct that process and make sure we have the safeguards in place, we're going to be able to expand to all these different ecosystems faster than anyone else will. And part of that also means working with some of the bigger chains as well. So right now we have a huge focus on liquid staking derivatives. We've got something in the works with Axelar that's going to help us kind of have a little bit more options on the Ethereum side as well. And we're also working on some innovative products that I can't share too much yet, but should be out in the coming months around sort of packaging different assets and spreading risk, because we see a lot of like liquid staking derivatives. I know some chains are really like they're really like against liquid staking, which is kind of funny considering everyone has a high inflation rate. So why wouldn't you do liquid staking? But that's going to be our major focus because we're trying to turn what a lot of folks view as Cosmos's biggest weaknesses into its biggest strengths. And obviously, liquid staking is one of those. Bridging is one of those. So we've got a lot of innovations coming down the pipeline for those.
Go ahead, Joe.
I just have a question because I've never taken advantage of liquid staking, but I definitely see how it's needed because, you know, you have like the paradox where you want a high percentage of tokens to be staked, but also you want transactions happening on the chain, and that can't happen if there's like 85% bonded rate. But as far as lending goes, using a staking derivative as collateral versus, let's say, a layer 1 token that simply bridged over to Umi, have you guys considered any additional risks, or if there are those going to be factored into the rate at which one can borrow against that collateral? How have you guys looked into that? And if so, what did you come up with?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of risks that come into play when you're talking about an external, especially like an external liquid staking derivative provider, like a Stride or a Quicksilver or Persistence. And so that's the reason why we have a supply cap on a lot of these different assets, first and foremost. But also, what we're kind of taking a look at is liquidity across the ecosystem for liquidations. We're actually in talks with Stride to increase our supply caps again. We've been very proactive in increasing those supply caps and maintaining sort of like a purview on what liquidity looks like in the ecosystem. And so we're working with those providers to understand their risk. There's smart contract, well, not smart contract risks, particularly to Stride because it's all Cosmos native modules, but there's software risks that can happen. There's also a centralization risk that can happen if one liquid staking provider is sort of the one entity there. So we have a pretty innovative solution called the Me token. Umi is you plus me is kind of our slogan, but it's not just our slogan. It's going to become a part of the actual product. And so the Me tokens will actually really help us work on decentralization of liquid staking providers. And we can kind of get more into that. But yeah, it's really making sure that it doesn't become too centralized, making sure that you have enough liquidity to handle a liquidation, not just for yourself, but for other protocols like a Mars or even like a Nolus coming out soon. Because a lot of those folks, they don't have the Oracle advantages that we do. And so if one of those gets hacked, we have to make sure that we're safe too, and we don't have like a contagion effect. And so that's why we're being very careful with sort of extending this, because otherwise we could just open up the floodgates, get a bunch of ST Atom for TVL, and just kind of let the thing run. But we're really taking a cautious approach to this.
Cool. No, I appreciate that answer. I have to look more into it. I'm not that proficient with liquid staking, and actually I've never used a lending protocol in Cosmos, so I'm excited to test it out.
Yeah, man, if you need a walkthrough or anything, I already talked to like Don Kryptonium.
Oh, I think Don's gonna do some kind of video or something. You should do it with him. Let's get a Joe Don video where he can walk you through the basics and you can berate him the whole time.
We can talk about his testosterone too.
I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that.
Dude, I'd love for Don to come up here, bro. That'd be cool, man. I actually
what time is it for him right now? Let's see. I think that's the problem.
He wakes up in about 90 minutes from now.
Yeah.
It's like 9 a.m. for here.
And I don't know if you know this about Don, but he only joins Twitter Spaces while he's in the bath, and I don't think he's a morning bather, so even more of a struggle.
Do you guys know who Filthy Frank is?
A legend.
Yeah. He's like the Filthy Frank of crypto, but like he's up and coming, dude.
Filthy Frank. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, that's accurate.
I like his content, dude, and he brings up some like valid points sometimes, even though it comes off as like satire and all that stuff. I think he brings in some valid points. And I see we're here joined by Sui from the Neutron team. I hosted them a couple of months back in December. Good to have you up, bro. How are you feeling today, man?
Yeah, pretty good, man. I wasn't sure. I wasn't aware the space was on, but just seeing you chatting to Umi, and I've been sort of playing around with Umi.
I don't see that you brought anyone new up, Lobby.
It's Soy 2 Studios.
Yeah, it still says they're a listener.
I can hear him talking.
Okay, so
I hear him.
Yeah, so just drop down to listener.
Yeah, I'll drop to a listener and then.
Yeah, and then I'll send you an invite to speak.
Again.
I need to do the same because I can't hear Soy either, and I need to hear that beautiful silky voice. So I'll be back.
Yeah, you guys just leave the space and then come back, and then I'll send you both invites and all that stuff. But okay, invite to speak. Oh no, they just left the room. But yeah, I guess if you guys are enjoying the spaces, feel free to retweet the space so we can get more people that are enthusiastic about all things being built on Tindermint up into the space. Once again, we're here joined by the Umi team. We're here joined by people from Huawei and also from Stargaze and now from Neutron with Soy. Give me 1 second. Hold on. But anyways, I guess we'll move on to welding. Welding, what's going on, bro? Can you give us a little rundown on what you guys are doing with Wawa?
Yeah. So what's up, guys? What's up, Soy? What's up, Brandon? What's up, Timmy? What's up, Joe? What's up, Sunnyside? It's good to be here with you guys. I'm honored. Um, so basically, I just want to say, I want to start this off. Everything I say should not be taken as financial advice. I am a community DAO lead for Chihuahua, and I work with the team. I know everything they are trying to do. So when Chihuahua Chain barely started, it was a proof of stake. Actually, it is a proof of stake Starport chain, and it started in December 2021. It was airdropped to all chains in Cosmos. I would say about 90%, and half of the supply was airdropped. Um, it offered high APR with no utility, so it was pretty much used to just be farmed, and it didn't have any utility. The team decided to create some utility by adopting Cosmwasm, and so they hired some devs, and basically people started becoming fans. We started burning tokens, we started building dApps. This led to the decrease in inflation, brought scarcity to the token. And so basically what we do now, we commit ourselves to the investors, we listen to the community, and just anything to maximize the value of the Chihuahua token. Right now, we have plenty of dApps being built. We are considering installing the Alliance module. There's a lot of testing that needs to be done, but I believe maybe in 2 months we will have an alliance between Well and maybe Luna. I'm not sure. The team is considering it, but it is risky. But I believe there could be some really good, power relationship between all the chains that perform an alliance.
Could you give us like a little brief rundown on how Alliance would benefit all users of Huawei?
So
In a non-technical way, you can be as plain, as simple as you can. You don't have to turn it up to 130 IQ or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, you could take a token from another chain, and you can apply it to the take rate, and you can earn APR from the chain with a different token. So let's say I have Wawa and Well that have an alliance. I can take the Well token and stake it to Chihuahua and earn from the take rate, and basically you just bring more liquidity to the chain, and you're just earning Wawa with that Well. So it's not that complicated. Just it gives more security to the value of the token. With liquid staking derivatives, you can use that as well, but I'm just not sure how far it's going to go. But you could use liquid staking derivatives to apply that, and it would just create more security to the chain.
Cool, man. And now we'll move on to Sunnyside Reapers. Sunnyside Reapers, can you give us a brief introduction on what Stargaze is building and what they're seeking out to accomplish in the crypto space?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people know me by Bonzi. I work part-time with the Stargaze platform. Stargaze is an L1 in the Cosmos ecosystem that is specifically built as an app chain for NFTs. So what Stargaze is kind of hoping to do is, build not only a blockchain, but marketplace that is decentralized and controlled by the community and creators that kind of get to determine what features are built, what does everyone want to see, and then make it basically when people think of Atom and when they think of NFTs, that Stargaze NFTs is what Atom NFTs are. Some of the things that we're looking at doing is bringing things like infinity pools, which is similar to SudoSwap to Stargaze. We're looking at doing interchain NFTs using ICS 7.1. So you can bring your NFTs from chain to chain. It doesn't matter where they're minted on. You can move it around different chains. And that's kind of like a little bit of what we're looking at, what we're building. The marketplace launched in May 2022. The first projects minted in March 2022. So we just passed our 1 year since the first projects launched, and we're continuously adding features over time.
So a question for Welding and also Sunnyside. Given that Huawei is expanding like what they want to do for Cosmos and all of those things, is there a possibility for some sort of collaboration, maybe some like GameFi sort of stuff, right? Like DeFi Kingdoms try to bring some cool like gamified aspects to the NFT marketplaces and things like that. To my knowledge, I don't think there's a DApp built on Cosmos for that sort of functionality and utility. But Weldon, go ahead, brother.
So right now we have a partnership with Passage, and right now they are seeking to create that GameFi experience on Cosmos. I believe it was proposal 4 on Chihuahua Chain. We made a partnership with Passage, and currently we are waiting on Wawaverse. I believe it this week for people that minted Meta Wawa, they are able to whoever has a beta tester, they're able to test out the new Wawaverse that is coming out. It is like a free for all world where you can go and play. You can buy NFTs and you can play these games with people that have the beta testing package, and it's, I guess they're going to install the token and they're going to have a lot of perks for stakers that are staked to Chihuahua Chain, so that you can look out for. And we could do like a proposal to add tokens there so people can play to earn, but it's still too early. We just want a beta test for now, and we'll
Testing. Is everything good now?
It appears so.
What happened there? I just kept hearing like
Dude.
welding on loop or something.
It all went downhill when you got here, Soy. That's all I know.
I completely like cleared the room and then like sent the space under. So yeah, sorry, sorry about that.
But I can hear you.
Mr. Producer, can you bring up Umi as co-host again, please?
I think most of Twitter might have just rugged even, because when I got kicked out of there, I tried to join another couple spaces that were live, and they all did the same weirdness. So,
yeah, I think it's when that Mario guy is hosting a space, and then Elon jumps in.
What's up? Can you guys hear
always
me?
happens, dude. Always.
Yes, whoever just stopped, we can hear you.
Okay, word.
Okay. Welding, I sent you an invite to speak. But who else is here? I think we have mostly everyone that was on the panel. But Soy, if you'd like, man, if you want to give another introduction on what Neutron is for our listeners, feel free to do so, brother. Good to have you up here.
Yeah, good to speak to you again, mate. So yeah, I'm Soy. I'm the community manager for Neutron. We are about to launch about the end of April. We're going to be secured by the Cosmos Hub, the first interchain secured chain, and basically looking to sort of power DeFi in Cosmos. So that's kind of what we're all about. And yeah, I kind of tuned in late to the space and heard you chatting to Umi. Umi is one of the chains that we're talking to and hopefully going to do some stuff with. So I've been playing around with Umi lately and really enjoyed the experience, to be honest with you. I think Umi is, I mean, they were way ahead of the game, frankly, to be honest with you, like almost too early, right? And now we've got sort of liquid staking coming along, and you can sort of play around with providing staked Atom as collateral. It's really sort of the start of the next wave of DeFi in Cosmos. And so yeah, I've been kind of getting to grips with that, and yeah, it's really cool. Like obviously, it's not kind of without risk, and like Welding very carefully said before, like none of this is financial advice, but you know, if you kind of get to grips with what's possible on Umi with staked Atom and stuff like that, it's yeah, it's definitely bringing something good to the Cosmos. So just wanted to say congratulations to those guys, and you've built a really nice platform, and I'd recommend people check it out.
Awesome, man. Good to have you up here again, brother. Welding, before the space had rugged, you were speaking about how you guys had a partnership that you just had with Passage. Feel free to continue on what you were stating, brother. Welding, you there? Welding.
Yo, Welding.
I think we lost him in the Cosmos,
Yeah.
bro. I think we lost him in the Cosmos. Yeah.
Void.
But thing, I also see that Brandon got lost. I'm gonna send him an invite as well.
I tell you what, it's pretty cool though, Wabi. Like we spoke like what a couple of months ago, right? And I remember sort of talking about you coming mainly from Terra and stuff, right? But you're always kind of a bit of an Atom maxi at the same time. And now, like, I look around your space and it's just like full of cosmonauts, basically, like recognize everyone. And so it's really cool to see like the Cosmos sort of following you now and checking out your spaces.
Yeah, I'm trying to do something where, you know, I can host a multitude of projects within a space, sort of give them an introduction for the first mega spaces. And then, you know, hopefully like during the summertime or something, it can be something like once a week we can gather around like 4 or 5 projects and then shoot ideas around what people are working on, see if we can create any collaboration. So sort of like this think tank space, right? And if you bring the brightest minds from every protocol, right, there's a potential that something new can come about from all of that, right? So
yeah, definitely. That's why you got Joe up here, right?
Yeah. He's a good networker. In only building on the same tech stack, but from other tech stacks, right? So it'd be pretty cool to have a space where you have people building on Move, right, on Aptos or Sui, and then you also have people that are building on Sway Lang, right, like Fuel Network, right, and someone building on Saga, someone building on Celestia, someone building on Arbitrum, someone building on layer threes like Caldera, right? Someone building on layer zero, like just this mega think tank of alpha, right? And one day in the week we'll have like a Cosmos based one, and then an ETH based one, an L3 based one, and then towards the end of that week, just have like a mass collective of minds coming together. Because I kind of feel that like like the days of just having like a one-on-one conversation, right, like it's cool and all, but I think it's a lot better if you introduce two teams and see like if any creative juices can happen, right? But not every team is open to networking like that. Like some teams would rather just stay to themselves, and that's okay, right? That's totally okay. But sometimes like having more eyes to watch your six is really good, especially when it comes to this space, right? Where like you're working so hard, you feel that you have like writer's block, right? Where an artist or an author, right, like they just have a writer's block and they feel like they've lost touch with their creativity. But if you surround yourself with people that are like-minded and share that passion with you to seek out innovation and become a part of innovation, you'll always have like someone to support you from that end, right? And it all starts, with little things like Twitter Spaces, right? Those Twitter Spaces then turn into like Telegram groups, and they turn into Discords. And yeah, the probability of creating like lifelong connections can stem from something as simple as requesting to speak on a Twitter Space, right? And I think that's the cool thing um, about these spaces. And I kind of feel that like we've evolved from like the standard YouTube AMA, right, into Twitter Spaces, right? Especially if like some of these uh, updates come out, right? Like imagine you're on a Twitter Space, but you're also able to like screen share, right? And it feels a lot more personable than YouTube, right? Because with YouTube, like there's only so many screens that you can share. Like imagine we're all on YouTube right now. There's like 8 speakers right now. Imagine having 8 screens on YouTube, right? It's not really like it doesn't really look nice. It's just different, right? So it's a different platform for different niches, and at the current moment, like this is something that I'm exploring, and it all starts with bright minds like yourself and Timmy and Joe, and then Sunny and Welding coming from different parts of the crypto ecosystem, and coming together and sharing your thoughts. So yeah, I want to thank you guys again for taking the time to join part 2. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what you're doing. You obviously kind of spreading yourself around a little bit and being like the man in the middle, bringing everyone together. It's good. And like the people you have in here, it's all like the people who've been toughing it out through the bear market, the real sort of diehard cosmonauts out there, So yeah, it's nice to sort of bring everyone together like this.
Appreciate the kind words, man. Timmy, Joe, if you have any questions for Soy about Neutron, feel free to do so. Same thing with Brandon or really anybody up on the speaker panel. Any suggestions that you might want to throw at Soy for Neutron or any sort of like collaborative efforts, feel free.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'll throw out a very open-ended thing for Soy and Welding, and I mean, honestly, just for anyone like listening, like I think one of the coolest parts about Cosmos, I'll try not to ramble here. You've probably all heard me say it enough, but the whole reason we're doing what we're doing with Spark and Interchain is just like the Cosmos is a bunch of different things that each kind of play together, but not like as well as they could and as well as they need to be to survive in the future. Like the very app chain thesis kind of relies on the fact that the integration and interconnectivity between app chains is like sufficient so that they can function the way Ethereum does as one big ecosystem. So could be for soy, but we have like a couple members of various like projects up here. I'd love to just chat about ways that projects could integrate. So like maybe starting with Neutron and Umi. Very open-ended. I don't have any thoughts, but like I just the type of announcement, speaking of being in the bear market, like you mentioned, Soy, the type of announcement that's actually got me at all excited in the past like year or two, is the kind of stuff like White Whales announced or like the Raccoon and Huahua thing, just like pre-existing projects that, whether they're chains, D-apps, whatever, who've already proven they can build and ship and have a community, taking that Cosmos mantra of like, okay, let's like build each other up and let's integrate, let's put our stuff together to make something better. That's what like gets me most excited genuinely about Cosmos. So I don't know. I guess I'll start with Soy so I don't just have an open-ended thing here. Any thoughts on how like Neutron could maybe, obviously would benefit from a lending and borrowing protocol, but on like a deeper integration level, or anything you guys have maybe been talking about internally, like, oh, I wish we had this capability, or also on like the Oracle side, because, you know, we have more than just Umi, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. And like, whilst you were talking, there's like a few things that kind of occurred to me particularly. And I guess the first thing is that, you know, Neutron's basically all about interoperability because of our sort of implementation of interchain queries and interchain accounts. You know, if you're looking for sort of maximum interoperability, then building on Neutron is probably a pretty good idea. And what comes along with that is, as you've said, you know, integration and cooperation with everything else that's out there in the Cosmos. One of those being Umi, and then I see like we've got Sunnyside down there from Stargaze. So that was another thing that sort of highlighted to me, because we've I can't really sort of say too much, but there's been some sort of discussions from our side with Stargaze about potentially like an outpost on Neutron, and that sort of comes from an angle of us wanting to grow the pie, you know. So like as a new L1 smart contract platform in Cosmos, you know, there's a various like options that you can look to explore. You know, we want to have NFTs for our community and stuff, but do we go down the route of potentially bringing in a competitor, or do we look to try and support Stargaze? You know, because Stargaze is pretty cool. We like from my experience recently over like the last 6 months or so, like the Stargaze NFT platform and its community are like one of the strongest in Cosmos. And despite that, you know, we're still not bringing in sort of NFT users from other chains and stuff like this, right? So is it better to bring someone in and compete with Stargaze, or is it better to collaborate and support Stargaze and look to grow that community with the sort of the view of, you know, maximizing what's possible in the Cosmos and bringing people from outside in? And that's very much sort of the route that we want to go down, and we're having discussions about trying to do that. And I'm personally like really excited to be able to try and, you know, come to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement with Stargaze on an NFT platform that hopefully like boosts the entire Cosmos. So yeah, hopefully that sort of answers a little bit about the way that we approach it, really.
Yeah, I did want to mention it because I know that's kind of Neutron's focus. Yeah, like I think I'm maybe partial, even though I'm not a huge NFT guy, but like the reason Stargaze doesn't have a big influx of new users obviously has nothing to do with like the tech and the functionality, because we all agree that's great. So I honestly think like the best of both worlds would be projects like Neutron coming in and through various integrations, marketing campaigns, partnerships, whatever, helping bring that marketing side to it, and then just let the product like speak for itself. But that's how I think about things.
Joe, if you want to give any of your thoughts, feel free to do so. Safi, I see you're in the crowd. Feel free to come up as well. We're just having part 2 of our Cosmos Roundtable space, featuring individuals that are well informed about all things Tendermint, and also people behind various projects. So feel free to come on, Safi, and for anyone else that's enthusiastic about spaces like these, feel free to share the space and leave some questions if you'd like in the chat box down to the bottom right, or feel free to come up and request to speak, to give any statements or anything like that. We only have 2 more slots available for speakers. So yeah, this is part 2. Part 1, unfortunately, rugged. We had like 65 people about just about, and then it rugged, and yeah, here we are again. So Joe, if you want to give any statements, feel free to do so to what Tim.
Yeah, for sure.
All that
Question
stuff.
for Joe after. Take it away, Joe, but then I have a question for you after.
No, good, Timmy.
Okay, so kind of a 2-part question. First for you, and then second for Brandon. Joe, you're a huge NFT guy. Would you actually take advantage of and use, and like what value do you see? Generally, give me your thoughts on using NFTs in a lending and borrowing platform, like being able to put my NFT up as collateral and take out a loan for 70% of its floor price or something like that. So question to you as an NFT enthusiast, if you'd like that. And then after, I'm curious if that's at all on the UMI roadmap, Brandon. Actually, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I made a couple videos about this before. There's pros and cons, obviously. I think I mean, I don't even know where to start. Let's just, first of all, we have to assume that people agree that whatever collection you're talking about, it would only be realistic to do this with something like Bad Kids, right? Let's just say we all agree that the Bad Kids floor price is 20,000 stars, right? The problem is not putting up an NFT and getting tokens in return. The problem is that floor prices can get manipulated really easily by whale wallets, and that there would have to be some kind of mechanism to take the risk off the platform and put it somewhere else, right? The other thing is, I think the only way that it would work is if like the project team, project creator guarantees that they will buy back the NFT should the floor price dip below a certain amount. And that doesn't make any sense unless the NFT is actually backed by some revenue stream or a real world asset. So I think that would be, if this could be pulled off with, let's say, a handful, 3, 4, 5 NFT collections, it would be almost like liquid staking derivatives, right? Because let's say I'm going to use Atom in a liquid staking derivative. I'm staking the Atom. I'm basically kind of like borrowing against it in a way, right? It's not exactly the same thing, but it would lock up a certain amount of NFTs from the collection. This might make it easier or harder to manipulate the floor price. I don't really know. I've seen it before. I think there's some kinks to be worked out, but the platform can't be taking the risk. It would have to be the project creators taking some of the risk, but that also adds utility to the NFT, right? So there's a lot of pros and cons that would have to get worked out. It would probably be an epic fail, but it would take several iterations, I think.
I was going to say real quick, the one way that I've seen this work is if the NFT itself, the collection, has a liquidity pool. So if the collection itself has a liquidity pool, like with, for example, Miladies, they have like a NFT, they have a pool on NFTX and on SudoSwap. So at any point in time, you can just sell your NFT into the pool. And so it's always liquid. And so by there being a pool, it basically does what you said, Joe, where it like guarantees a buyer, and it it helps to just stabilize like overall volatility and liquidity, because there's really no way I just, even with the most stable floor possible, I just don't think there's any way that you can do it without a liquidity pool, because like you said, it's just, I mean, like let's say the floor is like whatever 0.5 ETH, and then it, you know, someone lists for like 0.3. Like, are you liquidated because that's technically a 20% drawdown? You know, it's like
Yeah.
the only way that would work is if there was a pool. But if there was, for whatever collection, I could see it maybe working. But
I know
no,
I know Welding's got his hand up. I just wanted to say, you brought up the pools. I think the pools, if Stargaze were to roll this out, it would be an absolute game changer for NFTs and Cosmos. But yeah, Welding, I know you had your hand up for a while.
There's a.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Do you have something to say, Phil Payne?
Oh no, I'm
Okay,
done.
okay.
Yeah, you can ask your question.
So Backbone, the Gravedigger, they're working on a collaboration with Chihuahua, and it's not exactly like that 100%, but basically you're gonna buy an NFT, right? 100% of liquidity goes to liquid staking, and all the fees are going to be generated, and they're going to be paid out to stakers of the NFTs. So there is a project that is working on it. It's called Gravedigger, and yeah. So I don't know 100% how it's going to work out, but I think they are going to tackle it, and they're going to do a good job at it.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be like an actual value for the NFT. I know I brought up Bad Kids, and Bad Kids is one of those just like more like cultural, historical value to Stargaze, just because it was like by far the most successful Genesis project. But with liquidity pools, and I wanted to kind of press Bonzi to squeeze out any info that he has. Like, if Stargaze can do this, this would absolutely change NFTs, because it gives instant utility to project wallets, to whale wallets, because now they're liquidity providers, right? They're no longer a threat, right, to just dump all their NFTs, because there's not much you can do with NFTs right now. You could buy them, you could hold them, you could sell them, but if you could provide liquidity, all those projects that have, not such great distribution, where there's like 2 or 3 whales that basically control the floor price because they could sell a whole bunch whenever they want at any price and crash the floor price. Now they're liquidity providers. This would take so many NFTs kind of off the market, and this would give so much utility to the floor priced NFTs, the ones that no one really wants. And also it would basically ally these whale wallets where they're the ones contributing liquidity to the market. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, so just to speak on that a bit, the infinity pools, I think I mentioned earlier in the first space. I mean, that is being worked on. That's something that is coming to Stargaze. It functions like pseudo swap. Whale, White Whale, we're talking to them too. They've had their code up on testnet for a while. They're partnered with Backbone Labs. I don't have the most up-to-date information on the Backbone Labs part, but their AMA that they wanted to do, I believe, is under code review, and I believe there's a good chance that Backbone Labs is probably going to, come with them as they're partnered with them. But those things, I don't know the exact timelines or the concrete info part about it. The infinity pools, I think, is going to be within a few months for that to be live.
I think that should be like number one priority, and it should be that should be something that whatever funding is needed from, I don't care if it's coming from Cosmos Hub or if all the NFT chains want to get together and rush that out. I think that should get treated almost like an emergency.
Wait, Joe, I'm curious if I'm misunderstanding. It seems like when you first started answering the question, you kind of were skeptical, but then through talking, you're now at the this needs to be a thing.
No, I'm not that I was skeptical about the lending. I haven't seen it in action, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around exactly how it would work. But with the liquidity pools, which is what I was originally going to ask Bonzi in the first space before we got rugged, like when, because that is a complete game changer, and I'm not saying that like hyperbolically. That completely changes Stargaze and the Cosmos NFT.
Would it be Stargaze though? Like, I want to hear from Brandon. I'm wondering if Stargaze would do this or if they'd partner. Well, it seems like kind of already are, but Yeah, this thing is perfectly split between an NFT thing and a lending and borrowing thing. So,
Well, I know you just asked Brandon, but let me just comment really quick. Right now, the way NFT markets are set up is they're basically order book dexes, right?
right.
Kind of like
Yep.
Carbon, or their order book dexes. Liquidity is a huge problem. Stargaze does have a problem with completely out of control royalties and fees, right? Those basically deter buying and selling. You go from that to infinity pools. It's like going from, an order book dex to something like osmosis in terms of how easy it is to move NFTs back and forth with the least amount of friction. And it also allows people to earn on their wallets, which are basically just being held right now. They'll be able to earn a % swap fee on that. And you could charge much higher fees on an infinity pool than you can on a liquidity pool of fungible tokens. I think that it opens up a lot of action in Cosmos for NFTs.
Sunnyside, go ahead, brother.
Yep. So with kind of what you were mentioning, like, would it be the NFT platform or a DeFi platform working on it? One of the things that has been brought up, and this is not confirmed by any means, originally Stargaze was going to do its own AMM, but they're wondering if it would just be smarter to integrate the infinity pools with another project's AMM that they build. Like White Whale was the one in mention at the time of that conversation. So that would be one thing, talking about like who would build it. I know that's been discussed before. You mentioned tokenomics. Those are actively being looked at. I am not in that conversation, but I know that is being looked at, and I do believe there are adjustments coming. The last part you mentioned about the fees, my personal opinion is that at this stage, a lot of fees could be lower, specifically the trading platform fees, but the Launchpad collection fees and the 0.5 stars listing fee, I will personally defend to. I will die on that hill defending those two.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there has to be fees somewhere, but I think the biggest fee sorry, like talking right into my mic. The biggest fee right now by far are the royalties on the collections. Like they're like 5 times the fees, right? And they're
How is that a Stargaze problem though? People just, the collection makers decide that.
Right, but you're basically if let's say the royalties are higher than, like, let's say 3%, right? You already have a 2% fee, which is fine. 2%, whatever, it's close to standard anyway. Now you have a 3% royalty. It's basically a 5% tax to flip NFTs.
Well, Joe, your NFTs have a 10% royalty.
Absurd, ridiculous. You need to get rid of that. No,
I was setting that. I had no idea. I was like, this seems small. Like,
honestly, that's I think 8% is probably average on Stargaze. But here's an example of where this causes a huge problem. So there are two separate collections on Stargaze that have the exact same utility, which is revenue paid out from a validator. They're two identical from the same team, but they often fluctuate in price against each other. There's an arbitrage opportunity there. But there's an 8% creator royalty and a 2% fee. Which
means the difference between those collections have to be at least 10 for it to even.
And then of course with NFTs there's low volume, right? So you're never guaranteed. You're never guaranteed to sell an NFT at the floor price ever, right? Unless it's a bad kid or whatever the hottest collection is that day. The floor price is really not the floor price. The floor price is considerably lower if you actually want to sell the NFT.
You know what I've thought about before for blue chip collections? Instead of doing it off of floor price, couldn't you do it off like the offers in it at the moment? Because that's what an actual, like, if you want to talk about what an NFT is worth, which is the real conversation when it comes to using it as collateral.
You're 100% right. 100% right.
The option is who at this exact moment in time would buy it for the highest amount. So like when I go look at my new BitKit on Stargaze I saw the other day, it already has a bunch of offers on it.
And if you notice, the hottest collections have the offers very close to
Yes.
the floor price, whereas the other ones do not. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're 100% right. And that's
like,
that's basically a limit. That's a limit order, like on a order book deck.
Yeah. And in some ways you could say, like, oh, but that's really easily manipulatable because, you know, if you notice that someone put an NFT up for collateral where you were the highest bidder, you could pull out your bid and liquidate them potentially. It's like, yeah, you totally could. Like, that's it, the same way you could if you were a whale with a certain coin someone was using as collateral. Like, that's their risk for putting it that close. You're also deciding you don't want the NFT anymore. It's probably going to go to the. So, like, I think it would only work for blue chip collections, but I feel like it might work.
Here, go ahead, brother.
Here's what I'll say about that is it doesn't matter if it works 99% of the time. It doesn't matter if it's really hard to game. If it's gameable and there's a monetary benefit, it will be gamed. It needs to be perfect or not at all. That would be my personal take.
That's a great take because, I mean, I'm pretty big into NFTs on ETH. And like the whole time, I think that adding liquidity and like having incentives to go onto the chain is the most important thing, because like you said, if there's like a 10%, if there's like a 10% round trip fee just to like buy and sell the token or the JPEG, then it doesn't really incentivize like big liquidity to come onto the chain, and so I think that like things like really high incentives for being an LP, very low fees, and then like yeah, those are just two of my ideas off the top for like just bringing overall NFT liquidity into Cosmos, because there's no reason that the NFT scene shouldn't be bigger. Like the community, I feel like goes anecdotally, I think the community goes harder than almost any other chain besides like maybe ETH. And
I think
you guys
I
are
think
always super deep in spaces, and like there's obviously a demand. I feel like there just isn't enough like attention or people, like there's not enough like exposure for NFT projects, because like I would love to get into NFTs on Cosmos, but like I also like I don't know where to start personally. And then I also, if I like take a look at it and there's like objectively like very slim margins, and there's like only very very few collections that run, then like my incentive to bridge over is probably not going to be as strong. And so I'm just curious as to like what are some of the things that you guys are planning to do to like incentivize people from other chains to come over to Cosmos, and then like what were some ideas you guys had like under your belt perhaps.
I also wanted
And
to
this is
add to
just
what
like a question to anyone.
I also wanted to add to the statement that Payne just stated. I think things like Bear Chain and the protocols that are building on top of it, I think it's going to be a protocol like that incentivizes people to play in the hub and all of those things, especially given that like a lot of those guys, they're also keeping the ETHL2 users in mind, right? So with something like Vela on Arbitrum, right? If you go on Vela, right, the homepage, it lets you bridge to pretty much everything regarding ETH. You can bridge back to ETH mainnet. You can bridge to ZK. You can bridge to Optimism. You can bridge to Polygon, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Bear Chain is like the sort of like, I guess, the Arbitrum to Cosmos, if I were to say that, where people are like, all right, now that this new layer to this ecosystem is out, I'm gonna just ape in, right? So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts, but I'll open it up to the floor. Joe had his hand up, and then we'll go over to Brandon.
I think I skipped Brandon, so Brandon, go ahead, you go first.
Yeah, for sure, man. So awesome ideas kind of all around on how to sort of DeFi or the DeFiification of NFTs. But yeah, like Timmy, obviously we've got a design on how to do this already, and it's pretty. I think it's pretty efficient. The chain that we're going to be releasing a little bit in a couple months, and what we're doing with that. So this is something that probably will be released in probably Q3 or Q4 is something that I'm planning. But The way to get accurate prices on an NFT project is you really need to commoditize it. What I mean by that is like if you just stick it in an AMM, the reason AMMs work is because all of the tokens, you can pretty much price them equally. But with an NFT project, you have things like rarity that kind of disaffects that. And so what we're looking at is basically separating out by rarity these different pools. Basically, it's an AMM type product, but with stable swap logic, so that you can basically swap between one to one on different levels of rarity. And so what you do there is you commoditize it so that there's actual sort of accurate prices that you can get from there. And then you turn the staking incentive or the liquidity incentive into basically the royalties of that. So you can do royalties, but you can also do things like basically like different incentives on what like anything that an NFT would gain typically in price. You turn that into the liquidity incentives. And so what you have there is you don't actually need to be a blue chip project. You can actually be an all new like an all new NFT marketplace and just launch with this and have different NFTs launch on you, and from there you can just have lending from there. Obviously, these are things that are basically like low liquidity assets. Things like like obviously if you're trying to get Chihuahua on your chain, an NFT project can have more liquidity than a Chihuahua token can. So that's kind of how you do it. And no offense to welding, because we love Wawa. But these are things that are in the works, and I think you could see NFT lending in Cosmos by the end of the year.
A win Wawa and Umi this year.
Joe, go ahead, brother, and then we'll
Yeah.
pass it over to Seffi as well right after you, brother.
I just wanted to say I love just like imagining how these NFT liquidity pools are going to look, because like he said, like Brandon said, it doesn't need to be a blue chip really anymore, because if it's being borrowed and there's a liquidity pool, there's automatically going to be someone to buy in a liquidation, or at least there's a more fair way to determine the floor price or whatever price that you're borrowing, whatever you're able to borrow against with that particular NFT. You could have tiered liquidity pools based on traits and rarity and all that. I think it's just fun to think about it, but I don't know how hard it is to actually roll this out. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm the customer that's like waiting for the grand opening. I have to kind of sit and wait for that. But I promise you, I'll be playing on that all day at work, all day, all weekend. I won't sleep until I learn every nook and cranny of whatever the first NFT AMM looks like. And you will be able to arbitrage with, very, very slim margins, because you're guaranteed to sell, right? Like if there's a 1% to be made, you're going to be able to do it. Whereas in the current situation, you're taking a huge risk, even for 10%. Because you're never guaranteed to sell the NFT. It's just like it's what makes NFTs so fun, is that when you buy an NFT, it's totally not like buying a fungible token, because you're putting so much skin in the game, whether you realize it or not, just for the simple fact that you might have to sell the NFT at a 50% loss, even though the day before it was like the hottest collection. So it's just, I think the AMMs are just like, I can't wait to mess around with a Cosmos-based liquidity pool for NFTs.
Joe, do you believe that Bear Chain is going to start a new trend for NFTs all around? And an example that I can give is Baramonium, right? I'll be hosting them on Saturday. And so basically it's an RPG. You use your NFT and all that stuff. So it's like an expansion on what DeFi Kingdoms had built, but it also kind of has like that sandbox feel, right? Where you're able to interact with the world and all that stuff. And they're going to be releasing like demos for certain like whitelists, right? From their project. And as you complete those demos, you basically compete for whitelisting on the mint, right? So instead of, going through gas wars and all those things, and there is a thing where people try to gamify things like whitelist, like, oh, I'm just going to make a ton of wallets, right? But instead of doing that, why don't we just make it more like interactive? Because I kind of feel like the next cycle, it's going to be less boring clicking and more interactivity. So would love to know your thoughts on that. And that's sort of the trend that Bear Chain is having at the moment.
Actually, Bonzi's probably the best person to speak about improving whitelist because he actually runs like manual data on he's had a bunch of collections, so he's got some actual data that he did by hand to kind of figure out like the optimal way to do whitelist. So maybe you could jump in, Bonzi.
Yeah, definitely. So the first comment I'll mention, that interactivity of the whitelist, it's a trend. It will stick around, but not every user likes it. My primary example right now is on Polygon. Every single project is having competition to earn your whitelist spot. It burns users out. They don't want to spend weeks trying to earn a whitelist spot for a project. Some are into it, but unless they're like an absolute, like degen, which, those are usually the whales, it blocks out a lot of users and it makes them lose interest in the project. When it comes to building the whitelist, like in NFTs, everything is perception. Some of the best projects that ever sold were just big rugs and they made a pretty video. So when you build the whitelist, you want to keep it as small as you can with as many people that mint as possible. For our project, I always use conversion rates. If it's somebody that reached out to us because they want a whitelist, I always say it's 100% that this person's going to mint, and then we forecast that in. Then we do ones, if we do a giveaway in our Discord, it's a 70% chance that they will mint because they're more involved in our project. Then ones where if they got it from a giveaway from a project that hosted it or we hosted it on Twitter, then it's only about a 35% chance they will mint. So we take kind of like this aggregate to forecast, okay, we have this many addresses, what percent of the supply is our whitelist size, and how much can we expect to be minted during whitelist, and is that enough hype to carry us into public now where more people are interested because they saw how many minted on whitelist.
I brought up somebody from the crowd. His name is Maestro Stars. Maestro, I want to thank you for coming up onto the stage, bro. How are you doing today?
What's going on, man? How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, we're doing
great,
good, man. We're just with a multitude of individuals that are
Cosmos
informed
Project.
about
That's all.
about all
love
things that
you
are
guys are.
built on Tendermint and stuff like that.
I love everything you guys are discussing. I actually I had right now when you talking about the whitelists, I also do have an issue with Stargaze and their whitelists because, like you guys were saying, there it seems like the projects, when they're launching, they want to be launched on the launch pad, so they're asking the community to go on their Discord and to vote, but those guys are not the ones getting the whitelist. It's other folks, and I think that the guys that are voting and they're putting you on the launch pad, they should be the ones getting the whitelist. That's just how I see it. And why not maybe get 20 or 10 and raffle those 10 whitelists and make sure they get a free mint. I don't know, just to switch it up. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah. So with that, in this part, there's a few aspects to it. The first aspect is it is ultimately on that project's creator to make that call on who gets the whitelist. That is what it is. The second part is when they go to featured, there's that 30% limit that we have implemented currently, which it can force creators to slim down their whitelist. And that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Creators as a whole want to take guaranteed whitelist mints. They don't necessarily want to balloon the whitelist size. I personally am in favor of no restrictions on the whitelist size for featured, but that is something that can be changed through governance. But right now it's at 30, so that kind of compounds that problem a little bit. But yeah, just a few comments on that from my end.
Sephi, is there anything that you want to discuss with anyone up on the panel, or discuss anything from the statements that have been made in this conversation, brother?
Yeah, just some kind of arbitrary thoughts about the sort of kind of wrapping up sort of like what a lot of people have said, it's like there's this magical endpoint somewhere, this sort of like magical endpoint in crypto where it almost, the sense you get is like there's a layer one blockchain that basically has the NFTs on that chain integral to the function of the chain itself. Like the NFTs are not just simply something that are bought and sold on a chain, but like NFTs have some sort of purpose within and baked into the structure of the gamification of the chain itself. Like whether it's maybe NFTs are involved in like voting on the chain, or they're involved with like maybe affecting how much staking rewards you get on a chain. And then like dexes, like Osmosis is its own dex and a chain simultaneously. I almost feel like the chain should have a mixture of, it's like a chain, a dex, NFTs. You almost have to have everything like built together as one cohesive thing. And then like what wraps it all together, ultimately like the game that people want to come play on that chain. And I think people come to like get on their computer to do some different shit. One of those things is they might, consume media and entertainment, games, things like that. And the other is to make money, because, in trading, and that's sort of a game in and of itself. There's only so many things you can do when you hop onto your computer, outside of providing like, direct services, like, for example, I don't know, psychiatric care or something like that. Like there's only so many things you can do online. And so it's like monetizing attention, maximizing engagement, building all of those components into a functioning, cohesive chain, and having the right game that people want to play. It seems like that's the magic endpoint everyone's looking after. And, you saw this happen in gaming in particular. Like, for example, like early RPGs, and then early online RPGs. And then eventually you eventually figured out what the hell everyone liked to play. Like, for example, you have your first person shooters, and those have been honed and honed and honed. And like your Call of Duties and a few other ones are like the AAA games, or like, like Diablo 4 just came out, and like the Blizzard Activision people are like big time optimizers when it comes to like game theory and, building like the so-called perfect game. And they're just obsessed with that for years and years and years. But it seems like in crypto, that evolution will take place where obviously we're finding the absolute like primal, like deepest use cases. And ultimately, I think there will be some really big projects coming. I don't know which ones those are that like incorporate all of this into one like cohesive vision. And I think it's a hard thing to do with this relatively new medium in DeFi, and like putting all these tools together and everything. And I think the more like tools Cosmos builds generally, whether it's like IBC, interchain security, or the ability to like spin up chains easily and all these other things, you wind up with an interesting like conglomeration of things that you can either compose on or whatever. And I feel like there's this like magic endpoint, like we're asymptotic to something, and we just haven't gotten there yet. And I don't feel like anywhere in DeFi, like anyone has sort of sorted that out yet completely, but we're slowly reaching it. It's like behind this veil, like this almost like cloud. And I'm like reaching out my hand to grab it, and I just don't see it yet. Like the killer, I don't know, the killer experience, so to speak.
The killer app.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take the time to formally introduce to the audience the creator, the man himself, Sonny Agrawal. I'm sorry if I pronounce your last name pretty bad. I'm sorry, brother. I'm pretty shitty when it comes to announcing names sometimes, but it's an honor, sir, to have you up here. I'm truly speechless, man. You've built an excellent product. The UI is amazing. I remember back in late 2020, when they were talking about the Stargate upgrade. And truth be told, brother, I know I'm not really supposed to mention things like financial numbers, but that airdrop was truly life-changing. I had a blast during the bull run. I'm extremely bullish on you and Zaki Manian, and all those other folks. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny Agrigal, sir, welcome to the show. My name's Wabi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you feeling today, brother?
Thank you. I just saw Tenderman Timmy in here. I was like, oh, I wonder what he's listening to. I didn't make it on account because I don't think I can ever join Twitter Spaces without being added to, asked to come up and speak. But no, thank you for having me. What were we talking about before I rudely interrupted y'all?
Yeah, so this is what I call like a mega spaces. I've been doing this over the last month, like once a week. I'll host some like Arbitrum projects and some Cosmos projects, and we're just talking some shop. We've got Joe, Timmy, we've got Soy from Neutron, we've got Brandon from Umi, and we have Sunnyside Reapers from Stargaze. And yeah, I'm just introducing these projects onto our audience and seeing different ways that we can collaborate and sort of like a thinking tank, right? If we all put various ideas out together, perhaps it can spark somebody within the audience, right? That's building on Tendermint and can create like the next Osmosis, or contribute to Osmosis, or contribute to Neutron or Umi, and things like that, right? So sort of like a think tank, and everyone's welcome up on the stage. And so when I saw you up, sir, I brought you right on up, man. And
Thank you.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. Sounds like we have a crew here.
Also, Sonny, are you going to tell us you don't have an Alt-Anon account? Because, I know you have this problem. You've had it for a while.
An alt Twitter account?
Yeah, one that you can jump into a spaces without being invited. Because you've been complaining about this for like a year now. So I know you got something, right?
I do have another account that I sometimes jump into Twitter spaces with. I don't know if it's an Anon account. I mean, if you ever follow any of my
just
history,
not this one.
Yeah. It's not Anon. If you go through my history, you can see which one it is. But I'm not going to dox it.
Make people work for it.
Exactly.
Sunny, so I'm not sure how much time you have with us today. So if you want to give like a brief introduction on like how Osmosis came to be and what Osmosis is in the most like concise, non-technical manner, feel free to do so. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk some shop. I know we have some regulars up here, brother, that might speak to you on other spaces pretty casually, but whenever I have the opportunity to speak with somebody that's contributed to the crypto ecosystem, I simply, out of principle, have to conduct myself professionally, and perhaps down the road I'll join these fellas in the memification, in socializing in the cryptoverse.
So I mean, I can talk a little bit briefly about Osmosis. I do have to run in like 10 minutes, but basically, Osmosis is a DEX app chain, which means it is a decentralized exchange similar to Uniswap or any QuickSwap or any of the project DEXs that people are probably familiar with. But unlike most of these other DEXs, instead of being built on someone else's blockchain, or that Osmosis is both the DEX and the blockchain in one unified whole. It's this like fully vertically integrated stack. It's a blockchain that's designed to be a DEX. And so we were sort of we launched approaching almost 2 years now in a couple months. And we were like one of the we were definitely not the first application on Cosmos, but we were sort of one of the first applications that really brought things together. Earlier, there were a lot of applications, a lot of like untapped liquidity in the Cosmos ecosystem. Like if you look at even today, like I encourage people to look at the top 200, 300 assets by market cap. I think Cosmos has like the second most after Ethereum. And so there was a lot of like demand for Cosmos assets, but very hard to get them. It was harder to get them onto like centralized exchanges because it wasn't as simple as adding an ERC20. And so Osmosis came along and was basically the first IBC enabled DEX to go live. And so as long as your blockchain, your token speaks IBC, it could be listed on Osmosis really quickly and simply. And that kind of helped bootstrap the explosion in the Cosmos ecosystem we've seen in the last 2 years.
Brother, and one thing that really stuck out to me was the UIX. You know, you guys have like, I think his name is George Wazomazington, something like that. Wasmington. Yeah. And, you know, it has a pretty good UI to stake. You know, you see your validators and like their likeness and all that stuff. So as you were building out Osmosis, was UIX one of the first things that you guys had in mind?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, we have like an internal mission statement within the Osmosis dev team, which is by the next bull run, we want to make it so Osmosis, new crypto users can onboard onto Osmosis, not Coinbase. And, you know, we saw that like what makes Coinbase work is that I think they do have the most retail friendly UI out of the centralized exchanges. They also have other things going for them as well, right? They also have this like trust, you know, that they perceived trust that they have as well. But I think the UI, like making it as simple for retail, the thing that keeps Coinbase like so relevant today. And so yeah, you know, and we kind of saw it as like, look, getting the UI good is how you get the retail traders. The liquidity will follow the retail traders. The institutional volumes will follow their liquidity. So, you know, if the farthest upstream is getting the UI UX correct, and everything else is downstream and will fall in place.
Sonny, and do you believe products that are coming out that are built on Tendermint, like Saga XYZ, with what they're doing with chainlets and how they're going to have a virtual machine to things like the Move programming language and also like the ETH virtual machine, do you believe projects like that are going to help facilitate more migration to Tendermint in that retrospect that you're speaking about? You know, instead of Coinbase, they'll go onto things built on Tendermint like Osmosis. And given that Saga had a presentation on GDC, it really seems that we're now having the new influx of protocols, having the attention from people in quote unquote Web 2, right? Where you have like, you literally had like hundreds of gamers playing on the Saga XYZ testnet. And that's something that's never been seen before. And so I wanted to know your thoughts on things of that on things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that like making it as easy to deploy new Cosmos chains as it is to deploy smart contracts on EVM chains is like the goal. And I think there's a lot of people building stuff towards that. Saga is doing stuff. Obviously, the Cosmos Hub just launched their ICS. Osmosis and a bunch of other teams have been working on mesh security, but Celestia has their whole roll kit stuff that they're working on. But I think we're seeing a lot of different approaches to just like making the process, like decreasing. I would say like today, like launching a new Cosmos chain is like over 10 times as difficult as launching a smart contract on Ethereum. And I don't think it'll ever get to as easy because obviously there's more overhead in a chain. But I think if we can decrease that differential, that's what it'll take to like, you know, really get the Cosmos ecosystem, like more and more Cosmos ecosystem chains and projects.
All right, I'm going to open it up to anyone on the panel. If there's anything that you want to tell Sonny or ask Sonny, feel free to do so. This is truly a once in a lifetime opportunity, in my opinion. Payne, if there's anything that you want to tell him, feel free to do so. I understand that he only has like 2 or 3 minutes left. But before that, Sonny, I want to thank you for coming up and talking some shop with me, man. I really appreciate you. And truly, what an honor, man. What an honor.
I got a quick question. First off, congrats on. I recently saw, I think Hathor, the llama man, posted about it, but Osmosis now becoming like, I forget the exact wording of the metric, but surpassed Uniswap in like amount of active developers. Is that what it was? So first off, congrats on that, but I'm kind of curious about that metric. I don't know if you actually know, because I know that's a third party that like puts that figure together, but what does that mean? Is that like core people doing GitHub commits for the core chain? Does it include stuff like Mars when they're doing their outpost stuff on Osmosis? Because like that's impressive, like more than Uniswap. I'm kind of wondering where that comes from.
Have to see where Emperor Osmo got that metric from. If it's from Electric Capital's developer report, there's actually a GitHub repo that you can see exactly if Electric Capital has like a developer. Or they have a GitHub repo that tracks like, okay, for each ecosystem or project, which repos they're looking at. And so yeah, for something like Osmosis in the Electric Capital one, it is counting everything that's all the projects as well that are building, because Osmosis is also being treated a little bit like an L1 in that case as well. So it's also counting all the commits that are happening on the Mars repo, on the Levana repo,
Yeah.
on the Apollo repos. Like it's counting.
And to be clear, I do actually think it should. Like, I'm not at all saying like, oh, those numbers are fudge. That's kind of the beauty of an app chain. And yes, I think this. Oh no, this might be coming from Token Terminal.
So yeah, okay. So that's the other source that I'm actually not sure how Token Terminal's data works.
Okay.
Because the Electric Capital people reached out and asked to they're like, hey, does this look right? I don't know where Token Terminal data comes from.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was just curious, but yeah, that's like the beauty of an app chain. It's impossible to do any coding, related to it that isn't directly for it and beneficial to it. Like, even though Mars is kind of its own thing, when they're building code for Osmo, that's benefiting Osmosis.
Yep.
Sonny, is there anything down the line that we can expect from the Osmosis team later on this year that you feel would be of value to share to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I think like our top two focuses right now from the dev team are concentrated liquidity and cross-chain swaps. So cross-chain swaps are like that's coming along pretty soon. So along with that, we'll be launching a product called Cosmos Swap, which is a DEX interface that's going to be deployed on many Cosmos blockchains: Juno, Neutron, Say, Stargaze. And it's basically a UI. It's meant to act like it's supposed to be as seamless as a native DEX. It's meant for, so let's say Cosmos Swap on Juno is meant for trading assets on the Juno blockchain. But what it's doing under the hood is IBC, like tapping into Osmosis's deep liquidity to provide the best execution for a trader. So yeah, so I'm excited for Cosmos Swap to start rolling out in the coming months. Basically,
Thank you, brother.
Osmosis will,
Appreciate it.
through Cosmos Swap, Osmosis will spread and become the DEX of every Cosmos chain.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
I have a question. Can I? So this is kind of controversial. I just wanted to ask, what's your opinion, Sonny, on regulations and SEC targeting proof of stake chains? I haven't heard you really talk about it, and I think that's I would like to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, as far as I can tell, the SEC hasn't been targeting proof of stake chains. It's been, they've mostly been going so far after centralized staking operators, right? They went after Kraken staking operations. They went after Coinbase. They're I don't know, maybe they're going after Coinbase for their staking operations. So I don't know. We haven't actually seen any action from the SEC or any new action that they haven't, or for many years they've been saying, hey, all tokens may or may not be securities, right? Even ETH, they've been saying that as well, right? But I don't think any of the actions we've seen in the last couple of weeks have been anything to say that proof of stake systems might be securities. What they are suggesting is that a lot of these like centralized staking as a service operators may be securities. And so I think there's a difference there. And, luckily you'll notice that like Osmosis actually has very few of these, right? Like this was part of our intentional strategy from day one of Osmosis was like, let's avoid being listed on centralized exchanges for as long as possible, right? We want to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where centralized exchanges, if you look at like a lot of blockchains, it's like, who are the biggest validators? It's like Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. And it's like, we want to avoid that. And I think we've done a good job at avoiding that and avoiding those risks to Osmosis.
Yeah, I think you guys have done a really great job, and I just really appreciate everything that you guys do. Osmosis is a really great AMM, and it's just impressive. You guys make a point. You guys have made a point to the crypto market, and you guys are showing that through your market share, and your crypto market share, and that's it's impressive. But anyways, I gotta go. Thank you guys for everything. Woof woof.
Thank you guys. I also
Appreciate you, brother.
So
Thank you so much, Sonny. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully we reconnect soon, man. God bless you, brother.
Good night.
Now that's what I'm talking about, dude. How cool was that? That was epic, dude. Truly. I am speechless, man.
You
made it.
You do know that Sunny comes and chats all the time, right?
Wabi was straight soy hacking. dude, Sephi, but it's different, dude. Like you've been in the Cosmos spaces since inception, dude. I'm kind of new, man. Like my exposure to the Cosmos spaces was through you and Bruce, and then like after FTX, like late November, early December, that's when I started going into the trenches, like those 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 1 a.m. spaces, right?
Well, Wabi's starstruck right now. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't know if you remember. You had Jack. I always butcher his last name, dude.
Zampolin.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I remember I hopped into that space, and I'm like, damn, bro, this guy has like Zampolin just there, like as if they were just friends, right? And I find that pretty cool on Twitter Spaces, man. I'll always be like respectful and show like some sort of professionalism when I run into these individuals, man. Like, geez, bro, these people created stuff out of thin air, man. It's kind of wild, bro. You just put in some numbers and do some
we have
math.
Jake in here now too, which definitely fits that bill.
Yes. This is the guy, the Jake Hartnell. Yeah, he had the corporate cat. Yeah, dude, I love the corporation, bro. They go hard. You mention the corporation, and then like 12 of them will appear out of nowhere. So yeah, that's always nice, man. Yeah, I guess we can. Oh, Timmy left. I guess we can kick it over to Jake. Welcome to the show, man. I've been into a couple of your spaces in the past. Those late night spaces, man. Like you work on Juno, if I'm correct, like a contributor.
Yeah, Juno and Dowd. So, was also a co-founder of Stargaze. Less involved at the moment, but yeah, it's been busy times. So currently, basically just Juno, Dowd. It's good times. And this is like great space. Welcome to the Cosmos. You should,
Jake,
you should do this more often.
I'm kind of curious. What have you personally been working on lately? Because like I never know what to. Like I think like what is Jake doing? And like I have no idea because I know you're actually a dev, but you're also kind of like a big picture ideas guy. You have like a lot of involvement in multiple existing projects. Like what have you been focused on lately?
I mean, there's always a lot, like Dowd is usually always a big chunk of my time.
Yeah.
Some insane cool features which are coming out fucking tomorrow, I think. Including for the first time ever in Cosmos governance, multiple choice voting. You'll be able to have proposals with multiple choices. Wait, there's more. If you have a V1 you can upgrade to V2 with just a simple proposal. So that's gonna be really cool.
Ooh,
But
does that not migrate this time? Like, will addresses and everything stay the same?
Oh yeah, addresses, everything will stay the same. It's way smoother
beautiful.
than the first time. It's really nice. I can't wait for people to try it. But the big one is incentives and like payment systems. So we have two compensation systems that are shipping. One is just standard payroll with vesting contracts. So you'll be able to have like vesting contracts for anyone in your org. There's tons of power and functionality there. And then we also have like a peer-to-peer kind of retroactive rewards compensation system that we use with Dada. So those will be available to everyone tomorrow.
Jake, and I wanted to formally introduce myself to you, man. My name's Wabi. I've been in the crypto industry since December of 2017, and really, Tendermint was the first exposure that I had in my research. And I remember going into the Cosmos Hub Telegram. There were only like 800, 900 people there, and Django Unchained was really like the only person active at that time. So I was reading the white paper and became really enthusiastic about things that could work with this technology, right? And after the token generation event with Adam around that time, I had discovered like the dark corner of crypto Twitter, where I discovered Thorchain, and that sent me down the rabbit hole. And going into DeFi summer, that's when I got into Terra, literally because the staking rewards were in the they were a bit higher than the Atom ones. So I'm like, okay, let me like move half of my Atom into Terra and just stake it, right? And was really enthusiastic about like the Stargate update, and using osmosis, the liquidity pools, and all of those things. And here we are today, and we have a whole plethora of things launching on Tendermint, like Saga, Celestia, things of that nature. Dimension XYZ as well. Really enthusiastic about what they're doing. And I discovered these spaces a few months ago, and happy to be connecting with individuals that are passionate about the space. And I like hosting these mega spaces once a week. Could be an Arbitrum one, could be a Cosmos one. So far, it's mainly been Cosmos, and of course, like Bearchain. I've had those a couple of times. But hopefully by the summertime we'll have mega spaces featuring people building on Avalanche, on Cosmos, on Fuel Network, all in one space, right? Sort of like a think tank. Because maximalism, it's all right for some people, but for myself, I'm of the belief that if you can connect bright minds and get the best of the best from each sector of crypto, then you have a possibility of making stuff happen, right? And you never know who you're gonna run into on a Twitter space. You know what I mean? And like we had like the Sunny Agrawal in here. You know what I'm saying? So of course I had to bring him up. And I invited Rebel DeFi. I've seen them on spaces a few times, so I thought I might bring them up. I've seen them on I'm sorry, I don't know if you're a boy or a girl. I'm sorry if I'm calling you them. So I'm sorry about that, bro. But
I
okay.
don't worry about pronouns too much, but pleasure to be here. I see we've got a DAO maximalist in the house. And just following on from what you were saying, I think I'm gonna steal the cross-chain maximalist tagline. Absolutely agree that the next cycle there's no time for tribalism. Well, there is a little bit of time for tribalism. But is it all right just to throw out a question?
For myself or for Jake?
anyone in the house, really. Like you said, you had half your Atom stack. You moved over to Luna. I
Oh yeah, yeah,
essentially
yeah.
moved.
Yeah, dude. Because back then I didn't really have any like exposure to like broader DeFi. My first experience with DeFi was literally like Tron Bet and Tron Roulette in early 2019, and Switcheo on Neo, Ether Delta. I'm sorry, not Ether Delta, IDEX on ETH, and then after that I was getting some yield on my DAI. And after that, I played around with synthetics, and then Uniswap. And I found out about Uniswap like in Q4 of 2018 when I found that they got approved for a small grant. And when I saw what they were about, like, you're gonna get paid to be a market maker, right? Like a liquidity provider and atomic swaps. Where have I seen that before? And I remember back in April of 2018, John McAfee, he was like in a blockchain conference here in Miami, and he was talking about like Ethereum is sort of like, it's like water, it's like clean water in a dirty bottle, right? People don't like the shape of a bottle, they think it's nasty, but what's inside the bottle will make everything seamless as far as like decentralization and having fun within decentralized finance. He was one of the first people that I remember using that term, right? And yeah, I'm like, damn, Uniswap is live. Let me like play around with it, right? And that airdrop was fun, and you got paid to just pull your ETH and USDC. I'm like, this thing is fun, right? And yeah, that's kind of how I discovered DeFi. And then if you really want to get crazy, bro, I was leveraged up the ass on Terra. Never got liquidated on Anchor though, except almost one time on December 4th of 2021. That was a fucking nightmare, dude. But thank God I didn't get liquidated on that. But fun times, man. Fun times. I completely
Bobby,
forgot what your question was.
Bobby, did you? Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, never mind.
What was your question, dude?
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, it was more just like about. I mean, memories of Terra were like it was just pure DeFi madness. Like,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
those games.
Yeah.
But
I've said it multiple times, man. It's kind of like a catchphrase. Like if you had a Wabi bingo card, right? If you had like a little bingo card with certain things that I say, the first thing would be like, whoa, Bo, look here. And the second one would
the Terra UI.
Oh yeah, the
how great
Terra
it was,
UI and how great
where
it
we
was.
are relative to the past cycle.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yep, that's
and
always
also,
one.
And when it pertains, and how
when it pertains.
Yeah, and also how like Terra,
and how we onboard the next 100 million users.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yeah. I actually saw Joe here from Saga.
I just got a bingo.
Yeah. I saw Joe from Saga. I was gonna bring him up, but it seems that when I looked back on the audience, he left. I don't really like look at the audience too much, but I look at it here and there. But yeah,
this
man.
I had a thought real quick that I didn't get to mention. That I just want to say real quick before it escapes me again. But we were talking about NFTs on Cosmos, right? And I think that one thing I've noticed as someone that is really big into ETH NFTs, actively trades them all the time, but has never, I've traded ETH NFTs, Solana NFTs, and AVAX NFTs, which are basically dead now, but that was during the bull run. But I think that Cosmos doesn't need to reinvent the wheel for NFTs. Like, I think that's one thing that I've just noticed throughout my time analyzing the Cosmos NFT market is like a lot of guys are trying to like build lending with NFTs or do this or that. It's like very much like DeFi oriented, and it's like, I think that niche, like, I don't know a single person that's doing lending with NFTs, like anecdotally, as far as like, I mean, it's super lucrative if you're like a turbo whale in a project, right? And you're like market making it. But for the average user, it's just like a risky loan. And so I think that Cosmos doesn't need to reinvent the wheel for NFTs. Like, I don't think NFTs in their current form necessarily, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like a PFP project. I think people just want to be like a part of something. And I think the problem is unironically probably just marketing. Like, because I think that I feel like I'm very deep within CT, and I feel like I have my ear to the streets, like, for the most part. Like, I'm pretty on top of all the new developments in the ecosystem, but like I don't hear too much stuff about Cosmos unless I'm like actively trying to seek it. So yeah, that was just like something I've noticed, and I was just curious as to like what you guys' thoughts were on that. And you can definitely respond, Cosmos Joe.
You know, I could definitely see what you're saying, but I would like to see the infinity pools like tomorrow.
No, I agree. No, dude, I am in the same boat as you. Like, no question.
Yeah, I think the ecosystem should
collections.
They should collab. Every single platform should be holding like daily meetings to figure out how to do it as fast as possible. And I don't even care what chain it's on. I would even use Evmos again if it was on Evmos. I'll be honest with you.
So would you say? I mean, I'll pass this to yourself, Joe, if you wanna answer it, and just a general question to the crowd. Do you think it's gonna be things? Because I know Evmos really dropped the ball. Do you think it's gonna be things again? Like, I know I'm sort of coming off as a show, but I mean it's sort of facts. Do you guys believe it's gonna be things like Bearchain that are gonna pick up the pieces from the disaster that Evmos had? Same thing with Kanto. I really want to entertain some like big discussion here, because eventually what I would like to do is have some guys that are building on Kanto and on Bearchain into spaces like these where we have passionate community members and community managers and also like devs kind of brainstorming together. So it would be good to get some good like keynotes from the space when it pertains to this certain discussion.
You're asking me specifically about those two chains?
Yeah, and just everyone in general. We can start off with you, Joe, and then we can pass it over to Rebel DeFi, since he hasn't spoken much, and then to Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about Bearchain like a year ago, and when I looked into it, like the materials to do a deep dive were just not there, and a lot of the even like the Discord, a lot of the channels were just like intentionally written with like a bunch of sarcasm, and I'm like, what the hell is this chain? I knew they had NFTs on Ethereum, and the NFTs were basically set up like a Ponzi, right? And like it was very strange the way the NFTs worked, and I was like, you know, I can't even tell if this is a serious project or not, or if they're just an NFT project that's sarcastically saying they're building out a whole ecosystem just to sell NFTs. And the NFTs were doing well at the time, and I ended up not buying them. And then like 2 weeks later was the whole Terra thing. So that's as far as I got into Bearchain. And Kanto, I honestly don't even know what it is. Like I'm just, there's so many things to look at once. And like my Twitter feed is my Twitter feed. If I don't see it on my Twitter feed, it takes a really long time to get on my radar. So I probably shouldn't even have answered the question, I guess. But you know, so I apologize for just thinking out loud and making everyone have to listen to it.
No, it's totally fine, man.
No, you're good, man. No worries.
Dude, yeah. I need like such a sweet looking website to be able to start my research on a project, and like the downfall of Web3 is that like 97% of the websites are horrendous. So it takes me forever to learn about a project. Forever.
If it has a good website, you're late.
That's exactly right. That's exactly, because like if you go to a website and it doesn't say
what, you know you're early with interchain info, baby.
Well, I'm saying you're solving that problem for like 50 plus chains, which is why I always loved what you were doing when you told me. I said the biggest problem is not liquidity. The biggest problem is not wallets. The biggest problem is not seed words. The biggest problem is the websites are so bad that even someone that's tech savvy can go to the website and have absolutely no idea what the project is. Even being on the website for a half an hour, it's like, am I supposed to do something on this website? Is there a person that's behind this? Is there
okay? So like, I love Coin Landing Page. You know, he's been in a lot of our spaces recently. But like, one thing I haven't been able to say to him is like, because it's not a real thought. I'm half kidding, but like, by making a site that completely focuses on the landing page design of crypto projects, you're reinforcing this annoying habit that's going on where sometimes I can't even tell what the damn thing is on the page because you put style so far above functionality. Like
it's not even style. Every DeFi website is exactly the same.
And looks the exact.
It's automatically in dark mode, right? You go into the website, it's in dark mode. There's like a couple links. It'll say like network.
Well, that part's fine.
The
dark mode part's fine.
And then you have to scroll down a little bit, and then it's not even a complete sentence. It'll say something like the next the next generation of finance or something like that, or it's like
you go to the team. It's like Jack, Jim, Tom.
Right, and then instead of having like the person's LinkedIn, it's like a picture of a fucking cat.
Yeah, it's
so. Listen, I will
deep in the trenches.
I will walk. If I ever get to go to Cosmoverse, I'm going to go table to table, and I'm like, yeah, your website sucks. Your website sucks. Your website sucks. And we should just cancel Cosmoverse one year and redo all the websites in the whole ecosystem, and it would launch us into the best onboarding of all time of any ecosystem. But
also, I find landing pages so odd. I didn't even know until last month Osmosis had a landing page. Like, someone was talking about it. I was like, what do you mean? It's just the app. Like it's so annoying. And there's so many other cases where all I want to do is go to a thing's app, but I always have to go through their landing page for whatever reason. I don't know.
And then I like when the landing page is not even connected to the apps. That's my favorite one. When you have to now Google, you have to Google the apps now.
The new link is .app /2//.
Not for nothing, but in Cosmos, this is like the trademark of Cosmos when the airdrop page is not connected to the app, and then the app is not connected to the homepage. It's like you are so lucky that I'm in like a COVID lockdown right now, and I have time to go through all this shit. Like
there's like a million things I love about DAO, and this might break your heart a little bit, Jake, but I think top of the list is this: you guys don't have a landing page. Your homepage is functional. It's the actual app.
You know what's hilarious is people complained about the landing page when we had one. They were like, "Why do you have a landing page? Just take us to the app. Just take us to the app.
Yep.
Like,
someone was trying to pitch.
That's dumb in my opinion. I think landing pages are probably necessary because it's like, dude, if you have no context for like what the website is, or you don't know, like, you know, if you like, let's say you stumble upon the website and you don't, you know it's an app to trade on, or, you know, a marketplace or a DEX. I guess like a landing page to say what it actually is doing seems useful.
Well, so here's my answer to that.
I think it's just like nerds who are like immediately like, give me to the app.
We also have a DEX on our spaces, TFM, the Pro Trading Terminal of Cosmos. I've invited them up to speak. TFM, if you want to come up, I've invited you to speak, sir or ma'am.
I want to ask you a question. Like,
for sure.
My answer to that, and I'm wondering if you would do the same once I phrase it this way, or if maybe this is just a me thing. If I go to like a site and I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at, let's say I go to DAO and I'm just right in there. The first thing I'm going to do is just look at either the sidebar, the top bar, or the footer for an about section. And that's how I'm going to learn what I'm looking at. And like, that's very second nature to me. And I don't even think about a landing page because of what Joe said. I know if I go to the landing page, it's going to be buzzwords and generic things. Like, get me to the actual about section. But I genuinely don't know if that's just me, or like, that's my answer to what you just purported, which is the real problem.
I agree. And then I have to put myself in the perspective of like shave your IQ by like 70% and you're looking at a website. Like, what do you know, like, you stumble upon the website. Okay, you're probably, if you have no idea what it is, you're probably not going to even go to the about section. But if you land on the landing page and it's like Cosmos, trade this and that, blah, 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 like a little tidbit about what it is, curiosity might get the best of you and you might stick around. I don't know. That's just like a general.
I mean, it's also like who are you trying to onboard? Who's like never heard of DeFi before?
Yeah,
you can
that's a
go to
great
like
point. Yeah,
you can go to the Web 2 version of whatever your app is and just literally copy like the Web 2 version of that. Like if I go to NFT Marketplace, that shit better look like eBay or the Walmart app or the Target app. Like otherwise, like I'm not gonna relearn how to buy. Like, here's my money. Take my money. I want to spend my money. Don't make me go through an obstacle course because I'm dying to punt this money to you. And I don't even care what I get back. I just want to click on some shit. And like that's like don't make it hard for me to waste my money. And like if I go to a casino, it shouldn't be like I'm donating blood and I got to answer 80 questions. The tables are right by the doors. You walk in the casino, the first table you're looking at is some crazy like let it ride, or like something you have no chance of winning. Like that's right by the door.
Yeah. To tie that in,
You have to. Do you know how hard it is? It's so hard to find the poker rooms in every casino because you have a chance of winning, and all the other stuff is by the door. When I go to a DeFi app, let me do a demo with fake money and click something and make something happen on the landing page. I don't want to have to like climb over a wall to spend my money, and that's how it should be looked at as that. You know,
and I feel like
I agree.
To tie it into this example, it's like there is probably not a single person that is going to find the URL dowdow.zone that doesn't already know what a DAO is. Right?
The only person that Googles DAO is probably me, Jake, and maybe like 2 or 3 other people.
I'm thinking like peak froth. Like, remember in November when like grandmas were bridging to AVAX? Like, you got to make it as easy as possible for that.
No, I know that, but what Joe just said made me realize something I've never actually noticed before. Landing pages, not entirely, I'm not ignorant, don't worry, but they're kind of a Web3 thing. Like, I'm just thinking, all of the websites of non-crypto related ones that I go to don't really have a landing page. So while the problem you're tapping into, Payne, is 100% real, I feel like the solution isn't better landing pages, but more addressing the problem Joe called out of just the actual app UX and UI being more immediately accessible, and like the golden word should be intuitive, I feel like.
Oh yeah, like all the buttons should be in the same place. It's just going to bring you to a D app instead of
Guys, my bad, Joe. Go ahead, man. Sorry, there's a bit of like a lag effect on my end, brother.
That's probably because we're yelling. But I went to while we started talking about this, I'm like, let me go to like a stock trading website. I just typed in E-Trade, it came up. It's a landing page, and you could actually do stuff, and it has promotions, and you could open an account, and you could log in. It's all, I don't have to scroll. I don't have to click anything. Like if you're building DeFi for the first time, like that, you should go to like Fidelity, go to E-Trade, go to Chase website, and just see what's good and what's bad, and what's intuitive and what's not, and just incorporate that. And then you'll have a beautiful thing, and you could always change it. And you could always revert back to that weird, like outer space style landing page that gives no information. And it's like, is this like a human trafficking website? Is this a bank? Is this like, I don't know, like ushering in the next wave of finance? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know.
You can even have like a pro dashboard and like a normal dashboard too. Like,
you guys are explaining Vela Exchange. You guys are literally explaining Vela Exchange on Arbitrum.
I'm stupid bullish on Vela.
Yeah, I put it up on the Nest.
Yeah, it's a good project.
I put it up on the Nest. Those boys will be featured on our spaces sometime next month. So look out for that alpha drop. We're going to have Vela, the people from Gains. So yeah, look forward to that. And hopefully in the future, we'll have some of those Arbitrum projects connecting with projects being built on Tendermint, and yeah, we'll make stuff happen, man. We're gonna make stuff happen on these spaces, and It's really just about, connecting bright minds and dropping pieces of alpha here and there.
Hey, Wobby, you know what I noticed when Sonny had the mic? The first thing you said to him was Osmosis has a great UI UX. You didn't even say that it worked good. You like the way it looks and the convenience of the page and the simplicity. It means more than anything, because you just want to do your thing, click, 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 and then, like I said, you want to blow your money. That's all everyone here wants to do. And and let's be honest, we know every time we do a click, there's like a very good chance we're never getting that money back. Like, we just want to spend it, and we should be treated like customers, and maybe we get some free samples.
We are.
Dude, when I go into BJ's or Costco, they give me like 2 little bacon wrapped scallop samples, and then I spend $500. It's such a great gig that they got over there.
Jeez, man.
Right, it's like the free alcohol at the casinos thing. Same.
Oh my God, free alcohol! They give me a free room.
We have DT.
Really?
We have DT
Hit me up
in the
next time.
audience. We have DT in the audience. He's a bear chain enthusiast. If you want to come up, brother, feel free to do so. And we can talk some shop if you'd like.
Come explain this shit coin I've never heard of until today.
Dude, I can't believe y'all haven't heard of Barachain. What the hell? Y'all are Cosmos
It's
guys.
another Canto that's just going to be a rug.
It's not.
Oh no!
I mean,
no.
Canto's not a rug. Canto's pretty
no. Like the bear chain,
Barachain.
the bear chain guys.
Dude, they
those
go
boys,
hard.
Yeah, and they the 2 devs, Bear Dev and also
Smokey Bear.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Do you know who they actually are? Their real names, or do we just know them by these bear?
I can't say things like publicly, but like if you
is it public knowledge? I'm saying.
Yeah. Like if you do some digging, like you'll know who they are. But these boys have done work in the tech space before, and like some of the people that are backing them, as far as like VC is concerned, they do have some good names, but that's legit all I can say. And like the product isn't gonna come out, dude, for like another year. Like, it's not gonna come out for like another year. Like, their test net isn't even out. Like, their white paper isn't even out, dude. But
wait, Wobby, are you saying that you personally know for a fact that they have like VCs investors?
Yeah, dude, it's a very legit project. We've heard some pitches.
I don't get the meme names. Like, I can maybe I'm just not keeping up with Web3 as much as I should be, considering I'm in it day to day. But like, the idea of VCs pouring real money into something with a bear as its logo, that's like, dude, literally
VCs bought Locked Jewel off a 15-year-old last cycle. So
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm clearly just not in the right headspace.
so the thesis of Barachain is basically like to make the damn thing fun, right? And like, I've hosted these things called bear spaces, right? And essentially, like, I'll have a multitude of projects building on Barachain. And I also hosted Zaki Manian last month, and he's played around with the code, and he says that it's legit and it's pretty good. Same thing with a few of the guys from Saga. They're pretty bullish on them as well. Same thing with like some of the blockchain modular people. Like, I am deep in the fucking trenches, man. Like, some people truly have no idea how badly I have been in the trenches as far as everything Barachain goes. Truly, bro. Truly. And some of these products, like Baradex, right? Like, they raised some VC money as well, and they already have like UI and all that stuff being shown. Same thing with a lot of their play to earn games, right? Like Baramonium, Bara Markets, and all that stuff. It's supposed to add a fun incentive to the whole thing, right? Some interactivity, right? And like, when I talk about Barachain, I dedicate an entire space exclusively to that. So like, I won't be doing that here, but essentially it's like a fun chain, right? And gosh, man, I don't think I should be really saying these things, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And like, I could be off as far as like when the mainnet is. Some people are saying like second half of 2023. Some people are saying first half of 2024. But the way I see Barachain, if you really pay attention to what they're doing and all that stuff, and
really dedicate a good week on seeing all the information that's out there, you'll kind of put puzzle pieces together that it's like Thor chain, right? With their proof of liquidity and all that stuff, and all that stuff, how they're going to have like virtual machines to Ethereum and all that stuff, but also like what Harmony had with their play to earn stuff, right? And what Axie had with their play to earn, right? So you're taking the best from both worlds, you're adding mimification to it, and it's fun. That's the main thing. It's fun, right? And it's simple to understand. And these people are really active on things like spaces and discords and all those things. And I would say it's probably going to be like Kanto, where it launches like stealthily. And then, as time goes on, people will become more aware of it, but the main thing is fun. The main thing is fun. It really reminds me of Thorchain because, dude, nobody really paid attention to like the rune token until Terra started going parabolic after Mirror Protocol launched. That's when people started paying attention to rune after it did that first 100x, right? So that's kind of like my little breakdown of Barachain. Rebel DeFi, I know we didn't let you have the chance to speak when we brought it up, so if you want to say anything when it's regarding Barachain, feel free to do so. If not, we'll just
let's let Sunny speak. They've had their hand up for a minute.
So this one is going to be my personal opinion and personal take that is going to be kind of a knock against Cosmos as a whole. Unless they bring something unique, like it needs to be something completely unique, not something that's just a tad different than something that we already have in Cosmos. You shouldn't bring it to the market. Almost every Cosmos coin has this nice little graph that shoots straight up into the sky and then goes down forever. One of the biggest problems in the Cosmos space, we have like 20 plus chains that all do the same thing, or they do something that 3 of the other chains do.
Sonny, I think there's a distinction between things that are built on Tendermint, right, and then things that launch on the hub, right? So things like Polygon, right, they're built using
Wait, Wabi, I wanna.
Yeah, like let him finish real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Nothing launches on the hub, so I want to make sure we're on the same page there about like how nothing launches on the hub, right? So I think you probably just misspoke, but I wanted to call it out before you continued.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So the SDK is that what you meant, like the Cosmos SDK?
So
yeah,
I was
it's true.
I was comparing things like like Binance, right, and Matic compared to like the independent projects, right, like a Stargaze, like a Huawei, like an
Oh, I see
right?
what you like.
Yeah,
The difference between building on Cosmos Tech versus being in the Cosmos.
Yes.
Totally.
That's like the main thing that I was like trying to get at, right? And so there's a difference. There's like
that's the frustrating part, man, right? Because like it proves that the tech's good enough that these entities, Crypto.com, Binance, like Polygon, Cadena even took the Tendermint BFT and modified it for their proof of work chain. Like that says something. But then on our Cosmos native chains, we have trouble getting that traction. And I want to let you finish, but I do actually have some thoughts on this. I'd like to jump in.
Yeah, let's let Sonny finish real quick.
Okay. So the point that I'm kind of getting to, though, is especially in Cosmos, and I do not know the full tech side, so let me know if I'm misspeaking here, but it almost just seems universally beneficial if you have the capability to spin up a chain, to spin one up versus helping improve a better chain that is already doing what you wanted to do and has been around longer. Why? Because you can just get more money by making a new chain instead of working for someone else on another chain.
Preach it.
Yeah, it's facts.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'm not in the trenches as much on the governance side and all that stuff. But
Well, it's not governance. I mean, I've told you this same critique, Wabi. Like, I think, and that's just like what it's nothing, like it's nothing personal. It's just a valid critique about Cosmos. Is I do think that a lot of the ecosystem is like fractured, and it's kind of hard to be like, all right, like where do I
It's
go?
diluted.
Like, what
It's
do I
diluted.
start with? Like, where do I,
Yeah.
it's like if I'm, because like, yeah, there's, like Wabi said, there's things built on the SDK, right? Like Barachain, like Kanto, and then there's the Cosmos, the quote unquote Cosmos native projects, like Osmosis. And it's like, I think that that's kind of confusing for some people. And it's sort of like, if I'm going to LP somewhere, like, why, it's like, why would I LP just on this one place? Like, where it's like, okay, I'm going to LP here, but is this the chain that everyone's even using? Like, it just seems like a lot. And it's like, I think that there's a big, like, you have to be very into DeFi to like actively be wanting to interact with it and seek it already. But that's just like in my personal experience as like someone that's been doing DeFi since the beginning. And I think it's also like, primarily, I think it's truly a liquidity problem. Like, I think that there's, like if there's not enough liquidity, like why would I just can't come over there? Like you can't, big players can't come play over there because they can't get their orders filled because there's not enough, depth in the books of whatever they're trying to buy. And so I think that if there's, I don't have the answer, but I would just like to hear some of you guys' thoughts on it. And, let's go ahead and let Tendermint Timmy speak.
Yeah, so it's funny, earlier tonight I retweeted something like exactly on this thing. Someone posted a convo that they had where someone was sending a message to them just saying like, Cosmos is kind of languishing because no leadership position, no hype, no promotion. In Cosmos, Kepler teams are on their own, layer ones are on their own, blah, blah, blah. And then that's so far kind of led to what you guys are talking about, like a lot of the same, but also like not. I think in some ways we're selling it short. Like just the fact we have app chains at all, things like Stargaze and Osmosis existing are innovative and amazing. But the analogy that I draw genuinely when I think about this and why I'm really bullish for Cosmos long term is I think a sort of chaotic, like decentralized sort of the way that we're doing it is actually the right way. It's kind of what makes crypto special in general, rather than just a set like handful of people with a vision coming in and ruling it all the way through. It should be grassroots and community and organic. Like organic's the key word. So the analogy I kind of draw, and hopefully some people, like some of the gamers in here, might get this as an analogy. So any game I've ever like played, especially in my childhood back in the day when there were less games, so people spent more time on the ones that were there, any game that has any kind of build your own mode. So like Halo has something called Forge, where you can build modes and maps and game modes and make custom weird mini games. StarCraft, Age of Empires, these older games had ones where you could take a strategy game and turn it into like anything you wanted, a tower defense, whatever. I've seen it time and time again, like Fortnite's doing something with it now, where there's this sort of period at the beginning where everyone is using these tools to try and improve upon the base game, the one that the developers delivered. They're taking these mod tools and these build yourself packages and doing what you're kind of talking about, or what a couple people have mentioned in here, which is just like not massive inspiration, just sort of here's what's already out there. To draw analogies, here's what's already in crypto. We have DEXs, DAOs, NFTs. I'm going to build these things. But eventually, at some point a little bit later down the road, there's like a boom. Sometimes there's like a particular catalyst event, like in some smaller communities, maybe there's one guy that makes something totally crazy and redefines the way people think about the software that they have at their fingertips. Or maybe it's kind of casual and over time, but eventually you get to these things where there are games from the 90s that still have a player base now purely because of modders and like custom maps and these like totally new innovative things that just the community came up with. And I, honest to God, often draw parallels in Cosmos with that. I think we're in the period of using this cool tech that's at our fingertip, Cosmos, to improve on what's already out there. But just around the corner, there's like some of the real like bigger stuff like that. I can't speak to any specifics because I haven't thought of it, or I'd be doing it, making $1 million off of it. But like, what you're seeing and we're all talking about, I think, is totally there. It's real. It's not to be ignored or like pretend that it doesn't exist. But I also don't think it dooms Cosmos, because I think it's part of a larger growth cycle where soon people start to realize what we're saying here, that there's a lot of the same, but also still acknowledge how flexible and powerful the software and like the tools that Cosmos provides are, as well as just the interchain thesis in general with something like IBC. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents, more than two, actually. That was kind of long. But like, that's an analogy I often feel myself like thinking about and being like, okay, when's the boom? When's someone going to come out and be like, yeah, I'm launching a new chain, only doesn't work anything the way like you guys are thinking. Like staking totally different. Like, I don't know. There's one game chain that I've been talking about, for example. There's a game I want to bring on chain into Web3 that's already existing in the real world that I think would be phenomenal. And the way this chain would work would be fundamentally different, right? There would not be emissions of a core token. Validators wouldn't be paid off commissions and staking rewards. They'd be paid off membership fees. It's an MMO game, so you would pay, $10 a month or whatever it is right now. And even just that sort of thing, like that's not even that different. That's taking an old world system of just a monthly membership fee, but it is at least thinking outside of the box of how we can use blockchain and like do cool shit with it, right? Not every chain has to be you stake, you get new tokens coming to exist. Kujira kind of innovated, right, with the set amount of tokens where you're purely paid from fees. It's a small step, but it's a step. So that's my 2 cents on this whole like problem, because I think about it a lot. It's why I'm doing Interchain Info and Spark. I feel like we're fragmented and weird and need guidance, but there's so much hope light at the end of the tunnel.
Jake, if you want to give some of your thoughts, feel free to do so. And yeah, we'll run the space for about like 15 more minutes. But yeah, we've been running this space for about 2.5 hours, and our producer does have to go to sleep pretty soon, man. He's been working all day. So yeah, we'll go with Jake, and then we'll finish off with Rebel DeFi. We've been going here for a minute, guys. So if you enjoyed this conversation, feel free to follow us at Because Bitcoin. But Jake, go ahead, brother, if you'd like to give some of your thoughts on everything that you've heard of being discussed here.
There's been a lot discussed. I have a lot of thoughts. But first, I want to say thank you for doing the space. Let's do more of these. I think it's important to do even more cross ecosystem spaces. I love those. Like, I think the next cycle, the next paradigm is not the multi-chain paradigm, it's the interchain paradigm. And guess what? Other people are coming to play with IBC, and that's what's going to be like really exciting going forward. But yeah, I guess kind of +1 to everything Timmy said. I think that oftentimes like people just get lazy in a certain part of the cycle. I saw this with like 2016, 2017 Ethereum. Everyone was just doing ICOs, but like very little shit was actually built. It was like all built during the bear market, and then you just saw this like explosion of innovation. I think we're kind of at like a similar cycle with Cosmos, where it's kind of boring right now. And the whole point of having a chain is that you can experiment with things like the staking models and like the core revenue models for the validators and stuff like that. And it kind of saddens me that we've seen like, at least this cycle, we've seen very little innovation on that side of things. And there's just so many more different models to explore. Like, I think Cosmos chains should really just, when they start a Cosmos chain, just like start from the staking module. Maybe don't even use the staking module, figure out other ways to like monetize validators and things like that. So I kind of agree with all these points. And they're right. I think another thing we kind of lack as an ecosystem like is coordination mechanisms, economic coordination mechanisms. How do we get Cosmos Hub and Osmosis to collaborate better? How do we get like Osmosis and Juno to collaborate better? How do we get Stargaze and Juno to collaborate better? this has been like a key missing piece that looking back at like my time in like early Ethereum, yeah, there were a bunch of projects that are competing to build the best decks or the best, and well, they were just inventing NFTs and all this other stuff, but they were like, you know, projects competing against each other. That's fine. They were all tied together by a shared economic mechanism, which is like you pay gas in ETH, everyone wants the price of ETH to go up. So even if you're like Balancer competing against Uniswap, you're still like aligned in the fact that you want ETH to go up. We've kind of lacked that mechanism in Cosmos so far. And that's, I think, a big opportunity for the next cycle. This is why I'm really excited about mesh security. It's one of the things that I'm working really hard on. It's one of the things Sunny and the Osmosis team is working hard on. Mesh security is a way that, like, guess what? We can realize, oh, Osmosis has like the deepest liquidity for the Juno token at the moment. And we have some smart contracts that interact with Juno on Osmosis. Like, let's come to an agreement and align economic incentives and use Juno to secure the Osmosis chain and Osmosis to secure the Juno chain. And like, we can both kind of like benefit from each other's existence. And I can see this also applied to places like Stargaze. We need to find a way to bring these chains together so it's less everyone's just like reinventing the wheel by themselves, which is kind of sad. Like, we don't want app chains to like have to build a DEX and to have to build DAO tooling and have to build all this other stuff. Like, they should just focus on doing one thing and doing it really well, and then being able to collaborate more seamlessly with other chains. Like, I think there's a lot of work that's happening on this front, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited about mesh security. I'm excited for like people to not only just get the security aspects of like higher market cap, like securing the chain, but like also just like the alignment that happens. Like, we should all be working together a lot more. I think because we all have our own separate L1s, we're like not collaborating as much as we could be. And if we build some economic alignment mechanisms, I think that'll change. But I actually agree with like a lot of what people have said. I did want to revisit one last thing before I'll yield the mic, which is like NFTs in Cosmos. I think NFTs in Cosmos have been like pretty primitive at the moment, but I do think that that's about to change. And I think the key thing that is coming into NFTs in Cosmos really soon that will make them a much more exciting place for NFTs is interchain NFTs. So we have the ICS 721 standard, and you'll be able to move NFTs throughout the Cosmos as seamlessly as you move tokens throughout the Cosmos over IBC. And what that means is like, you'll be able to have an NFT collection on Stargaze and use DAO tooling on DAO, and maybe someone will like launch some crazy like NFT backed, you know, like pseudo swap, like liquidity pool thing for NFTs on some like permissionless smart contract chain somewhere like Evmos or Barachain or wherever, and you'll be able to like move your NFTs to that exciting spot. So I think, you know, interchain NFTs are going to be, I think, add a lot more excitement to the space. And I also think DAO tooling is going to add a lot more excitement to the NFT space. You know, the pieces are coming together. All these things happen really slowly. And one of the things I remember from my time in Ethereum is just how long fucking shit took from like everyone just being like, this is going to be like the like dawn of everything in 2015 to like nothing but like just like ICOs without actually anything to use in 2016 and even 2017, to then slowly all the DeFi and like really cool projects starting to ship in 2018 and 2019, and now we take all that stuff for granted. You have to give communities time, and I think Cosmos has just a great community of builders, and I could not be more fucking excited for the next cycle. I think it's going to be really special. Because there are really exciting things that like the Cosmos allows you to do. I think more people are going to be joining the interchain, Avalanche, Polkadot, like Ethereum eventually. Like, the interchain's where it's at, and I really think that Cosmos chains will find new life, new adoption, and much more excitement over the next cycle. Like, I really do think that interchain is the paradigm of the next cycle, and it makes sense that not every Cosmos chain, there's going to be some death. That's okay. Death is part of life. That's how we are all here. We're here because of evolution. That means things died. But there are going to be some Cosmos projects that just have like a lot of longevity. All right, that's my rant.
Awesome, man. Well,
Wobby, could I jump in with something super quick? Just a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question for Jake, and also just a request for other people to maybe like think about this. Going back to what Wobby mentioned earlier when he was kind of comparing things built on Cosmos tech versus like Cosmos ecosystem things. What do you consider Cosmos, Jake? Because I've actually gotten a lot more bullish on Cosmos in the last year when I've opened up what I consider it to be. Like, I consider Cadena in some way Cosmos because they opted to use the Tendermint BFT. Thorchain, absolutely Cosmos in my mind. They're doing awesome shit.
Yeah, totally. I define Cosmos as people that use the Cosmos SDK, and I'm kind of actually the most bullish on what I call the interchain, which is everything that's connected over IBC. So like I'm interchain maximalist or IBC maximalist. Like I think Cosmos SDK is great. That's why so many people use it. Why projects like Polkadot were able to, or not Polkadot, Polygon were able to like get to market super quickly. Good for all those projects. The next cycle is all about the interchain, and it's all the stuff that happens over like IBC connected chains. It's another reason why I'm excited about projects that are using the CosmWasm VM, because it's the only smart contract VM that gives you like low level access to create your own IBC protocol and to like fully leverage the interchain for all it's worth. So yeah, I kind of view it like that. Cosmos is Cosmos SDK chains, but I really think that the interchain is what's emerging right now, and that's the network of IBC permissionlessly connected blockchains that give you so much more than just bridging tokens. They literally allow you to control accounts on other chains and perform actions on other chains from other chains. That is next level fucking shit.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Like, fun fact for me, actually, I've traded them before on like sexes and like with futures and stuff, but the first time I actually bought and staked like in a private wallet, both Polkadot and Avalanche, is when I understood IBC enough to understand that like they could be IBC connected. There's nothing preventing them. When I realized like IBC only needs fast finality, and then even in like Polkadot's case, there's a team kind of working on it, and I think there is for Avalanche too.
Yeah, so for Polkadot, composable finance, those are the homies.
Yep.
Check them out. For Avalanche Landslide Network.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm actually like helping to advise them a little bit because I think it's really important to bridge these other ecosystems. Like IBC is the TCP IP of the interchain, where it's like it's the game changer. And you know,
it's like I went so completely bullish on the interchain thesis. Like one day I just woke up and realized it had to be that way. Like it could not be another way. There was a point where I didn't own any Bitcoin, any Ethereum, any Polkadot. I owned nothing except IBC connected assets. It was only like a month or two, like time period. But then I was like, oh wait, I can get my Bitcoin from Thorchain and now Nomic, and oh, there's the potential for these other things which do have good tech, Polkadot, Avalanche, etc. I wasn't like a hater. I just like fully believed in the interchain thing. I was like, they can connect. IBC is versatile like that. You know what? I need to diversify again.
And yeah, that's the great thing. It's versatile. Like Polymer DAO is bringing IBC to fucking Ethereum, layer 1 Ethereum.
Yup.
That's going to open up a huge mountain of liquidity. You know, one of the things that I'm excited about with mesh security is probably not the first version that we're going to ship for Osmosis and Juno, but some future version could use EigenLayer. You know, let's create this fucking web of proof of stake blockchains that's like fucking unstoppable and is very secure. Like IBC, I just could, yeah, I should just change from DAO maximalist to IBC maximalist. I'm kind of both.
You should. You
Yeah,
should.
man.
Because we
So-
need IBC to take over the world before CCIP launches. That's
Yeah. I'll be hosting I call them EigenLayer. I know some people say EigenLayer. I'll be hosting them in a couple of weeks. So look out for that. I'll be hosting Shade Protocol on Thursday and a certain modular project next week. And
Boys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I actually got a dip right now, but
yeah,
it was great to talk to everybody.
Yeah,
and
man.
this was a wonderful space. And
Yeah, man. We've been going for almost 3 hours, bro. But it's pretty cool. We had a lot of
yeah, no, it was an awesome space. But
man.
thank you guys. Take care.
Yeah, man. Later, Payne. Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap up here. I want to thank every one of the speakers that came up, that took the time out of their Monday to come up and talk some shop. Shout out to the audience as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be hosting Handle.fi as part of our Arbitrum series. And then on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we have Entangle Protocol. Then on Thursday, we'll have Shade. And then Friday, it's kind of a surprise. Saturday, we'll have our Bear Spaces. And then on Sunday, we'll have Nolus. And next week, we'll have a modular project. It was supposed to be this week, but it got pushed back into next. And look forward to more of these mega spaces. Our next mega space is going to be this Saturday for our Bear Chain spaces, our Bear spaces. We're going to have Bear Nouns, Baradex, and Baramonium. So look forward to that. Hopefully soon I can actually host like one of the guys like Baradev or Smokey. They're pretty cool people. So that being said, if you enjoyed this content, feel free to follow us here because Bitcoin. Turn on bell notifications so you can be made aware of when I do these spaces. Follow all of our listeners and all that stuff. My bad. Follow all of our speakers. I'm sorry. But after the space is concluded, our producer will tweet out the replay of the space, and we'll be tagging you guys who came up as speakers, so you guys can share that and all that stuff. And feel free to share this content and all that stuff. With that being said, God bless you all. Thank you for participating in this mega space and all that stuff. Truly a blessing. We had all sorts of people from crypto come up and talk some shop, and that's the cool thing about these spaces. So take care, guys. Later. God bless you all. Bye bye. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for